Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever saw. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about
I don't think I've ever said this before.
Fantastic. Okay,
Live.
we were having a deep discussion, very deep discussion, about the fact that there's no good R&B bands today.
None.
Just a minute ago, we were hollering, singing "Love You for Life" from Jodeci.
Ugh.
And if you want to hear who really hit the note well, it's on Minect Circle. Go download it. We're singing, but at the same time, this is actually a very good point. Jodeci,
Yes.
Drew Hill,
Yeah.
Aaron Hall,
Backstreet Boys.
Uncle Sam. You got
112.
112.
Oh.
You got
Boys to Men.
Boys to Men.
What
You
happened?
have-
What happened?
69 boys.
No, and
That's
and
different.
Malik
That was Miami.
Malik goes.
Miami
Well,
Federal.
we go. Malik, who's the group?
making a comeback.
Usher's making a comeback. What?
Almost kicked them out of
Usher,
So
he's the man.
listen, I got a message I want to give to you guys here when we get into it. A monologue, a message I gave to my son yesterday. But based on the comment section, we're told.
Oh, Pat.
What
Pat
happened?
toch.
We are told you guys are loving the new set. Based on why
Yeah.
we are. We are
65 plus
Are
community
you
is in
kidding?
heaven right
We heard you especially love the plant behind me and behind Vinny. We heard you love it so much that you want us to continue the set. We may consider doing that. Tom's audience loves the set for whatever reason. Adam's audience has been complaining, but we're going to figure something out here. But let me give you guys a couple things here before we get started. So, yesterday, we're driving with Dylan. We pick him up from the camp, the academy he's at. He had a 6-hour training yesterday. He had a game. And on the way back, we're driving. And I'm going to tell you guys what irritates me the most. And I think it may make sense for you as well. So there's nothing more annoying than somebody giving you lazy advice. Let me give you an idea what I mean by lazy advice. Somebody that says, well, you know what, X, Y, Z, they're telling you all this stuff about, what this person's doing. And we're like, no. That person's staying here. Oh, I thought he's like everybody else. No, that's lazy advice. Give me real advice.
Yes.
I told Dylan and I told
Tom's watching the podcast.
Are you
I'm not watching it.
No, no thanks, Tom. No thanks.
No thanks.
And then pause that.
Tom, just hit the volume button.
At least it was
Yeah.
ours.
Okay.
By the way, Tom reads every chat, so give him some love today.
Yeah.
It makes his day when you guys say he's the best. We have to hear about it all day for the rest of the day that he is loved more than Adam. So keep commenting, give some compliments.
Okay,
It
equal
really means a
time
lot
here.
to him.
Tom rarely reads the chat during the podcast.
Right.
Like, rarely.
No, Tom, look, if you see what I'm looking at right now, he just disrupted me trying to give you a message here. So Tom is listening to the chat and the comments. Post them below.
Back to lazy advice.
let
Sorry,
me-
sorry it jumped like that.
Let me go back to the message I want to give to you guys here. Matter of fact, let me go to the stories and then I'll tell you the advice because Tom really is. We'll come back to this, folks. Hang tight.
Yeah.
Okay, so stories. Bill Burr goes after Elon Musk. Vinny's got some thoughts on it. Biden's auto pen, which I don't know if you've seen this or not. The same, he is not there signing stuff that other people are signing on his behalf while he's not at the White House. I think you were telling me that not Heritage. Heritage Foundation looked into this.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that. Michelle Obama, if you're looking for a good podcast to go to, you have Michelle Obama that just started a podcast with her brother. And the comment section is the best part of the podcast. If you haven't looked at it, it's very entertaining. But I have some thoughts on that with the Obama podcast on why that's taking place. I know you do as well. We'll go through it. Canada folds to Trump and cancels bombshell electricity tariff. American whiskey, motorcycle to be hit with 50% tariffs in Europe. That's a Wall Street Journal story. Protester arrested over Columbia University students' detainment. And we got some thoughts on that. House hearing ends with heated exchange over how to address transgender member of Congress. Guys, they lost their mind. You have to hear that. NASA spent $13 million on DEI under Biden while critical mission quality control failed, watchdog group says. Greenlanders elect party that pushed hard against a Trump takeover. How the U.S. economy went from booming to a recession scare within only 20 days. Fox's Peter Doocy roasts Trump with brutal Wisecrack, Ad Briefing, Cratering Stock Market. We'll show you the clip. U.S. mortgage rates dropped for 6 weeks to lowest since December. Tennessee got a message from Zero Hedge. Is Tennessee the next housing market to drop? Goldman says, Goldman CEO David Solomon wants policy certainty from Trump. They're worried about certain policies. It's kind of making it difficult for investors to get their checkbooks opened up. Small business reports second highest level of uncertainty in 39 years. Amazon, Google, and Meta support tripling nuclear power by 2050. JP Morgan, you have to hear what Jamie Dimon had to say after a question that was asked about working from home. He lights them up. Tom was telling me he lights them up. We'll show you the clip. It's absolutely phenomenal. Tesla owners offloading their cars over Elon Musk's backlash are in for a nasty surprise. Let's see what that surprise is. Sheryl Sandberg. I don't know if you guys have been hearing. Very weird what's going on with Sheryl Sandberg. The book that came out, some of the stuff that she said, and buying lingerie for another lady while on a private jet flight. Weird stuff. I mean, whether there's credibility here or there, we don't know, but we'll talk about it. CNN Black Sheep hits panel with hard truth about Michelle Obama. Again, Michelle Obama's podcast, we'll talk about that, and Newsom's podcast. And then Disney scales back Snow White after premiere as controversy surrounding film grows. And then Meghan Markle. Is it Markle? What is her name?
Meghan Markle, yes.
Dictator
her show
and
on
stilettos.
Netflix. You have to see the data on how it compares versus when her and Harry did their thing together. And then that's what we got here. Before I get into the sponsorship, let me just tell you something about what happened last night. We're driving back with Dylan last night after soccer, and I'm hearing everybody's giving advice. Mom is sitting here, Jennifer. He's in the back, and Senna's sitting over here. And I said to them, I said, one of the most important things in life that you have to learn how to do. It's very hard to do. Very, very hard to do. And it takes time to figure this part out because flattery is going to be everywhere. This is what it was. There's going to be people that are going to give you advice on how to get into the top 20% of whatever business you're in. Top 20% of sports, top 20% of podcasting, top 20% of comedy, top 20% of sales, top 20% of real estate. The advice is to help to get you in the top 20%. Then there's people that give you advice on how to get into the top 1% of whatever the business is. Then there is advice that people will give you on how to get into the top what? 0.1%. Let me say it again. Top 20%, top 1%, top 0.1%. Do you know what is the easiest advice that you walk away liking the person? Is it 20%, 1%, or 0.1%?
20%.
20%. Because what's the advice say?
Hey, you just keep doing your thing.
You're going to be good.
Keep your head up.
Just work hard and, you're going to be okay, something like that.
Yeah.
Then there's the top 1%. Then there's the top 0.1%, right? So I hear the advice that everyone's giving. Look, try to do everything you want and do this and do that and do this. It's okay. Multiple streams of income and do this and do that. It's okay. Do them. And then you'll hear the guys that actually build something and they tell you, listen, don't do anything but one thing for 20 years. What? Don't do anything but one thing for 20 years and drive the hell out of it. Mm-hmm. You kidding me? No. That's tough to do. It is. The 0.1% advice, if you can know who's giving you the advice and who's giving you the lightweight advice, you'll have an edge over others. But the hard part is knowing who's giving you which one. Podcasting, yesterday we have a guy over at the house with the kids. You know who I'm talking about. And we're having a conversation with him about podcasting. And then it's like, well, it's great. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to test it out for 6 months and see how it does. Nope. If you're going to do it 10 years. Mm-hmm. What do you mean do it 10 years? Go 10 years, see how it does.
10,000 hours.
Is hard. That's right. This thing is hard. You got to learn how to do it. Maybe you're not going to be good at it. Maybe the audience doesn't like you. Maybe the right people will find you. The best advice to take is typically the hardest one to take, but you have to know who to take it from. This is why I love Manek. Guys ask me questions. Half the time they walk away pissed off saying, I can't believe you gave me that answer. It's, you asked me the question, you paid for it. I'm going to give you whatever advice is necessary for where you are today, like the one you gave yesterday.
Just like I'm happy you said that. Just like that yesterday, because I talked to Pat before. This guy was asking advice on Manek about something, Adam, that he's worked on 8 years, project whatever, and you heard because I had to do it in the car. I was brutally honest, and those are the ones.
But he took it though.
He took it 100%, and I think that you nailed it. When it's that 0.1%, That's the conversation where you walk away going, you're initially like, who the hell is this guy talking to? But then you realize this guy's giving you exactly what he wants because he's not trying to be your friend. I'm just trying to give you the advice.
And that's hard to
That's
do.
hard.
Hey, in our neighborhoods around this table, kids are not getting advice about, oh, that'll be good. Maybe you can do that. That'll be good. No. The advice I get is, why not you? Bailey talks about being a general manager in baseball. I said, that's right, Bailey. Why not you? Why not you go for that? Yep. It's not like, oh, maybe you'll get a job in baseball. Wouldn't that be great? Not many women ever make it into that. No. That's not what got her into Rice. That's not what got her in now, and that's not the advice that Dylan's going to get.
But that's more than. But here's what I told Dylan yesterday, because I'm also not fully where you are with that. To me, it's also the following. I said, if somebody tells you, Dylan, if you want to be a center in the NBA, you can do anything you want to do in life.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
You can't.
No.
To be a center in the NBA, you got to be 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
No, that's not also the advice.
Yes.
It's got to match what someone's got to be able to give that to you in a very honest, straight up way. It is so hard to do. And by the way, typically when you have people like that in your life, you don't like them. Most people don't know how to keep them. Mm-hmm. Because most people want people in their lives that say what? Yes. And guess
Don't
what?
worry about it.
Good
Don't
luck
worry about
keeping. That's the value of those types of
Real quick, I do a lot of financial coaching on Connect. I love it. I have great conversations with people. I had a conversation with a young man yesterday. I asked him, do you think you're going to become a millionaire? He's like, yeah, I think I do. I said, what's your plan for that? He's like, I don't know. I'll just figure it out. I go, did you know? What percentage of Americans do you think are millionaires? It's 6.6%. Juxtapose that with what percentage of millennials think they will become millionaires? 46%. And it goes even higher for Gen Z. So 6% of people are millionaires. Almost half of millennials, almost 3/4 of Gen Z think they will become millionaires. There's a little bit of delusion going on. So I had to say, this is what you need to do in order to get there. They said, wow, I didn't even think about that. Boom. It was a tough pill to swallow, but you could do it.
It definitely is. Anyways, guys, if you do, you says it's a tough pill to swallow. If you drink a lot of coffee, if you drink all Arnold Palmer, if you drink hot tea, guess what's officially in? By the way, on the side, Tom may be one of the biggest YETI fans in the world. So finally, we've been working on this for about 9 months. The YETI Valuetainment, what do you call these things? Collection is here.
Sick.
Future looks bright. Valuetainment logo on the side. White one, black one. Let me see the white one here. That's pretty sick.
I think that one's a big one.
The white one here with Valuetainment, Future looks bright. Just so you know, this is a very limited supply we're doing. This is not 1,000 of these. We got 100 of them. You want them? Go place the order. We may or may not do many more of these, but you will be one of the first ever to have Valuetainment YETI, especially for those that are using these a lot. Now you can put it at your office while your staff, your team, your family is coming to you. In the front of it says Future looks bright. And on the back of it, Valuetainment logo. So go place your order, whether it's the white one, the red one, or the black one. Go to vtmerch.com. Place your order for the Yetis before these sell out. They are the best of the best in what they do. And now you can have the best of the best with Future looks bright on it. We have a goal of having 1 million people sporting the Future looks bright gear around the world. Right now, we're on the 150,000 number. We got 850 more to go. We want 1 million people around the world saying Future looks bright. I love hearing stories when people say, I was just in Cabo. I'm poolside and I see these 3 kids showing up. They all got the Future looks bright hat. I'm like, how'd you get this? Well, we watched the podcast. It's a great thing when that happens. Go place your order at vtmerch.com. Limited supplies. We'll see if you like it. Maybe we'll bring different ones in the future. All right, let's get right into it.
Great colors, man.
Couple stories to get into. I want to start off with the first story about Canada folds to Trump and cancels bombshell electricity tariff. And this is a big one because I don't know if you guys saw the market yesterday. Tom, I'm going to come to you with this one here at first.
Okay.
Canada reversed its 25% electricity tariff on Michigan, New York, and Minnesota after President Trump threatened severe financial repercussions, with Ontario Premier Doug Ford announcing in response, Ontario agreed to suspend its 25% surcharge on exports of electricity to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. Rob, if you got the clip, if you want to play, and then I'll tell you more about it here. Go for it, Rob.
Well, just a little while ago, I had an opportunity to speak to Secretary Lutnick. And Secretary Lutnick has sent out an olive branch to us to come down and immediately meet with him, meet with the whole trade administration, and discuss the future. Rather than waiting till April the 2nd, threats going back and forth, tit for tat, I've agreed to suspend temporarily, and we always have that tool in our toolkit, until we sit down over the next day or two. I'll be heading down to Washington along with Dominic LeBlanc. And
Rob, how long is
a
this
good
clip,
discussion.
He goes on for about 3 minutes.
Oh, we can't. We're not going to play that for, especially the monotone voice that he has. But so, anyways, long story short, what happens is they caved, and I'll read this next part to you. Trump, who declared a national emergency on electricity and double tariffs on Canada, steel, and aluminum to 50% in response to Ford's initial tariffs, suggested Canada join the U.S. 51st state. Canada should honestly become our 51st state. We would have a northern border problem. We wouldn't have a northern border problem. We wouldn't have a tariff problem, while also threatening to permanently shut down Canada's auto sector with higher car tariffs on April 2nd unless Canada drops its retaliatory tariffs on U.S. dairy and agricultural products. Tom.
So this guy, Doug Ford, to let you all know who he is, he's the Premier of Ontario. So he's the governor of Ontario, and he carries as much weight as Gavin Newsom does as a governor of California, or DeSantis does, the governor of Florida, being very large U.S. states. So that's who this guy is. And he says, right along the border, we've been selling electricity to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. Because if you know, Buffalo is right there on the Canadian border. There's U.S. cities that are there. And he said, hey, we're going to tariff, the electricity that we're selling to these people. Never mind that these have been very level electrical treaties for a long time. And so Trump turns his head and said, okay, make it 50% on steel and aluminum. Well, Ottawa gets a hold of Doug Ford and says, hey, dude, you're like the governor of Ontario. Can you let us do this from the capital of Canada? Should you be speaking up like this? And Doug Ford let him know. He says, I've been summoned to Washington. That's what he was just saying. Yeah, Secretary Lutnick asked me to, let's not wait till April. Why don't you come to Washington? No, it goes like this. Listen, Governor, why don't you get your ass down to Washington? We can talk about this right now. Meanwhile, my boss, Trump, just raised the tariffs on this. And guess what? He runs to the microphone, not in Parliament, but in a freaking empty room, speaking in a monotone like a kid that just got caught coming home late on a date by his mom. Hey, it's midnight. You're supposed to be home by 10 o'clock. And he's just sitting there stunned. And guess what happens? This is a microcosm of when power and policy meets small retaliatory threat. And he broke the guy. And there had been these memes all over the place. And there's now, I broke some guy from Ontario. Whack, right over his knee. And that's what happened. And so this is how I have been saying tariffs often are going to be tactics, not long-term taxes. Will they upset the markets a little bit? Will they do a little bit? Sure. But look how they're breaking and backing off.
How did the market react yesterday?
Yesterday, the market was green. It wasn't up 5%, but guess what? Tesla was up 7%. NVIDIA was up 6.5%. And the major indexes, I think 3 of the 4 indexes, because you got the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P 500, they were up like 0.5%, demonstrating a settling, which shows you even the most minor news that says, hey, some of these tariffs are calming down, the market immediately calms down. There's a long way to go, and there's a lot of stuff out there, and there's still uncertainty, but the markets immediately calmed yesterday.
Rob, where's the article that says how much money was lost in the stock market just the last few days? I saw a number that said $1.5 trillion. I don't know what the number was. If you can see if you can look it up. It's one of these pages that we had.
And see if it's an 11th story or a 12th story.
That's it's going to be on the 11th story. But there's a point here on what you're saying, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is, the fears of recession. A lot of people connected me yesterday like, oh my God, Pat, from your tone, you kind of worried that it may be a recession, all this other stuff. Guys, let me just simplify it for you guys, for those who fear. Here's where and when we made our money. Okay, when it came down to crisis, 2006, 2007, 2008 was the second biggest time where I was able to really see growth in my business. Was when the mortgage crash happened in 08. Everybody was afraid. We doubled down. We played offense. After 9/11 happened, everybody was scared. That's when I became a stockbroker. Everybody was leaving the industry. That's when I went into the industry. COVID happened. Everybody was scared. Oh my God, what about this and what about that? And what are we going to do? We played offense. It was the biggest year and biggest month of our careers was a month after when COVID first started happening, March 14th. April, was it April or May? That was the biggest record-breaking month that we did almost $2.5–3 million of EBITDA that month. I don't know what the month was. It must have been April or May, if you remember that, 2020. Everybody was scared. Everybody's like, oh my God, do I shut down my office? Do I close down my office? Do I close down this? Do I do this? Do I not reinvest into the business? You know, what about if I go this side? Here's the reality of it. When it comes down to the current talks about recession, I want to kind of bring two things to people. One, we had technically, by definition, a recession under Biden by having 2 consecutive back-to-back quarters where the GDP didn't grow. Number two, there's 3 types of people right now in the marketplace. There's those who hate Trump. There's those who don't follow politics. They're neutral. And then there's those that voted for Trump. Let's go through all 3 of them. Those who hate Trump, they are dying for the market to, drop and crash. They're celebrating. They want to see it happen. They want to see this guy fail miserably. They want to see it fail. A guy on CNN, Rob, if you can pull up this clip and find it, is showing the fact that, well, under Biden, the inflation was going up and up and up, and everybody was worried. And we were not expecting for these numbers to show up, but it looks like inflation has dropped for the first time under Trump. That's the number right there. Can you pull that up, Rob? Watch this clip, guys. CNN is having a hard time reporting good news on inflation. Watch this clip. Go for it.
Finally, we have some good news on the economy and really the number one issue for many Americans, the cost of living. So we just learned that consumer prices in February increased by 2.8% year over year, 0.2% month over month. Both of these figures were a step in the right direction, and both were better than expected. So this is definitely very encouraging to see, because it's going to, I think, relieve some fears that inflation was perhaps re-accelerating, because this actually breaks a streak of 4 straight months where I think you could see it on the chart all the way to the right, where the inflation rate was going in the wrong direction, right? It was going higher and higher. Finally, we're seeing it dip.
Okay, so you see a number like that. It's like, oh my God, we don't want to report that. Market doesn't want to see that. So the people that don't like Trump, don't be surprised when they are, rooting for the failure for him to drop. The people that are in the middle, you're like, look, I don't really care. I'm just a business guy. I'm just trying to make a little bit more money. I don't want to lose any money in the market. What do I do with this? Be patient and understand the fact that there's going to be certain seasons you're going through this, but don't make decisions of long-term decisions based on a 1 month, whatever's happening. And those of you guys that are under Trump, we talked about this yesterday. The analogy I used is when back in the days, Amazon on quarterly calls, investors used to say, hey, how come you're not paying dividends? Others are paying dividends. Why are you not paying dividends? And then Jeff Bezos was like, look, if you're wanting a return on a stock for 1 month, 2 months, or a year, we're not the stock for you. Sell off. If you want to be with us long-term, we're going to build a very good business long-term. People benefited. The same as you hire a new head coach, they're bringing new ideas. These guys are coming up with revolutionary ideas we've never seen before. The market is going to take a bit of a hit. We just have to be a little bit patient about it while we're going through it. Adam, your thoughts on this?
So the gentleman, I forget his name,
Lutnick?
Ford? The guy from
Doug
Canada.
Ford, Premier.
Doug Ford.
There he is, Premier Ontario.
He said a word, tit for tat, right? So what's happening, these, what are they called, reciprocal tariffs? And it seems to be a negotiation tactic from Trump. So it's sort of an economic game of chicken. Trump is doing what I would call economic nationalism, economic warfare, America first. He also calls it common sense versus global economics, which we've been very much railing against the globalist agenda. But here's the point. Trump is very adamant that he wants to get out of these unfair trade deals. He feels that America has been taken advantage of for 40 years, and he wants to level the playing field. It's almost like having a tough conversation with a friend. Let's not forget, Canada's not our enemy. Mexico's not our enemy. It's almost like when you have to have a tough conversation with a friend and be like, look, bro, I don't like how you're handling some things. You're dating the wrong girl. You're doing drugs. You owe me money. You're not paying. You're my friend. I want the best for you, but we really need to have this tough conversation. And the market is not taking this well, because there's one thing that the market it's what, Tom? Certainty and clarity. You're seeing all these stories right now, all these CEOs, they're like, dude, we're with you. We won't say anything. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal. They're not speaking out. But privately, CEOs are basically like, what is this guy doing? And they want clarity.
Did you see Lutnick's response? Rob, can you play Lutnick's response?
I really like this.
Watch this.
I really like Lutnick.
So you're saying when it looks chaotic and unpredictable from the outside, that there actually is a master plan when it comes to these tariffs?
It is not chaotic. And the only one who thinks it's chaotic is someone who's being silly. He said reciprocal tariffs.
Nobody expected him to announce 50% tariffs this morning.
He needed to break some guy in Ontario who said he was going to tax American energy 25%. The President of the United States in the White House says, oh, no, you won't, and breaks him. Breaks him. In what? By a tweet and a truth. And you think that's chaotic? You know what I think that is? I think that is the thank God we have a president who's taking care of us. Because if you were in one of those states and you thought your energy prices were going to go up 25%, and you said, where's the president? And all of a sudden he came down like thunder to make that end, you'd say, cool. I'm glad that's the guy in the White House. And that's what we've got.
I don't like the way he explains it. You know what's a great thing? He explains it in a way that even a guy like you understand and say, I like that. I like what he's saying.
I love that guy. And Pep, my thought on the whole thing just with Canada, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday on Unusuals. Canada, especially with their leadership, is not the people. They're that yapping little dog that's behind the fence, just and then once you open the gate, they're just like, oh, just like with the Doug guy, just like with Justin Trudeau. They act like they're tough because they know. Think about location-wise on the planet where they are. They are attached to the #1 country in the history of the world, the United States. They know nobody's going to mess with them. They know nobody can attack them. But they bark. This guy talks all that trash, Pat, but when it comes down to it, they buckle and they fold just like that. And these Democrats drive me crazy because no matter what happens, okay, and we talked about this today at breakfast time, they want change. They want the government to be fixed. They want DOGE. They want people to have accountability. But then when it starts happening, they're all complaining because it hurts. And what was your analogy this morning, Tom?
Yeah, there's a drought in the Midwest and there's 5 farmers. And they all want it to rain. But one farmer in the middle, farmer number 3, goes, wait a minute, I don't want it to rain on this weekend. I'm throwing a picnic. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, you all wanted rain. It's going to be here. Yeah. You know, I got a reply from a guy on X, and God bless you because this is the right analogy. He said, I don't get it. For those of us that love our NFL teams, we defend our owner and we defend our coach, and we've got a new draft pick and we're rebuilding. And everybody that criticizes us says, man, you got to give the coach time. We got a new draft pick. We're rebuilding. Why are you so down on us? We'll be back. You watch. And guess what? People are not giving. Actually, the Democrats refuse to give Trump even a moment to have some of this stuff gain traction. And now you have our Secretary of Commerce over there explaining clearly, and look at the way she was aggressive in that. Oh, you didn't think it was going to be 50% and chaotic. This is not chaotic. This is a guy coming down like thunder and fixing it. And those people that are there that are not having their electricity go up are saying, I'm glad that guy's in the White House.
So I like this guy, Howard Lutnick. And of course, he's going to defend the policies because he's the Secretary of Commerce. He's at the head of the tip of the spear for this.
Part of them are his policies.
But let's call a spade here. There's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace, and we're paying the price from it in our 401ks, in our Roth IRAs, in our brokerage accounts, in our crypto accounts. Everyone's lost 10% of their wealth, especially if they're in the markets. So here's I just sent you
on paper
something on paper. Of course, CEOs don't plan to openly question Trump. Ask again if the market crashes 20%. They're basically saying, look, we don't like this. We don't know what's going on. We're not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything, but we will if it starts going a little bit lower. Here's an article. Goldman Sachs, your friend David Solomon, CEO of Goldman Sachs, says CEOs want policy certainty from Trump. This isn't a lightweight guy. This is the CEO of Goldman Sachs. He's basically saying the tariffs and what's happening, these reciprocal tariffs, is causing a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. And if we know anything about the market again, they want stability, they want certainty, they want this stable genius, Trump, to stabilize what's going on. Last point, Trump's a marketing genius. Everything he did was 3 words: build the wall, drain the swamp, lock her up. Come up with a phrase that is easily digestible, that everyone can understand, to explain what he's actually doing. Because right now, he's like a chaos candidate. I agree with what he's doing, but he needs to market it better. Because the markets are like, what do we do? Look, specifically it says, the tariff uncertainty is stalling deals. These are billion-dollar deals from Goldman Sachs. The level of uncertainty
Read the full
is
quote.
a little
Keep
bit
reading.
higher, and it has kept some things on the sidelines.
A little bit higher has kept some things on the sidelines, and yet liberal Bloomberg shouts it from the rooftops.
But by the way,
this is David Solomon saying.
And by the way, do you think David Solomon voted for Trump?
100%.
You think he's a Trump guy?
I don't think he's a Trump guy. I think he voted for him, though.
You think he voted for him, but he's not a Trump guy.
There's a lot of those.
So, Rob, can you play this clip real quick of him saying this to Honey,
Maria Bartiromo.
Play this real quick.
Money, Honey.
You were at the Business Roundtable yesterday. Several major banks revising their economic forecast in the midst of this tariff uncertainty, including Goldman Sachs economists, by the way. What can you tell us in terms of your reaction and the impact of tariffs on the economy and your business?
Well, I was at the Business Roundtable yesterday, and I'd start, Maria, by just observing that one of the things that I do like is that the president is engaged with the business community. Yeah. The administration is engaged with the business community. Good. And that's a different experience than what we've had over the course of the last 4 years. I'd also observe, his sense of optimism in the engagement yesterday at the BRT. I think the business community understands what the president is trying to do with tariffs. Now, the business community is always going to want lower tariffs everywhere in the world. At the moment, there's some uncertainty. The market's digesting that, but we're going to have to watch and see how this all plays out.
Yeah, and you've got other things within the president's agenda that occurs to me to be very positive for your company, Goldman Sachs, as well as corporate America in general. I'm talking about the deregulation. Cutting regulations is a huge thing, and that's going to have a big impact, the extension of the tax cuts. So I want to get your sense on the macro story right now, David, because initially President Trump did not want to make a prediction. You heard him in that soundbite when I spoke with him on Sunday. That caused this massive sell-off in stocks. Yesterday, he did say, I don't see a recession coming. How would you assess the backdrop in terms of animal spirits? Do you see M&A and IPOs picking up for you at Goldman? Are things that used to be on the shelf now coming off the shelf, if you will?
There's no question that activity levels are slightly better than they've been over the course of the last 24 months. But there's still an enormous amount of pent-up demand, Maria, both for capital markets activity and M&A activity. I would say at this moment, the level of uncertainty is a little bit higher, and that has kept some things on the sidelines.
So then let me say this, Rob, if you can pause it. Whatever that quote article that we read, they chose one sentence of it and left out 80% of what David was saying here. But this is what I'll tell you. How many IPOs do we have in 2024, Rob? Can you pull it up? How many IPOs do we have in 2023? How many do we have in 2022? I'm curious. How's the IPO market been doing?
Not great.
If you can look up IPOs in 2024 was what? 225. How many do we have in 2023? 154. Go to 2022. Go to 2022 IPOs. What was the number? 2022, 181. Go to 80. By the way, look at the number. No, go to it to see what that is. It was 83% lower than 2021.
Whoa.
1,035. Okay, 1,035, give or take. So go one more, Rob, which was an all-time high in 2021. So go 2021, 1,035 IPOs. Go to 2020, because a lot of those are SPACs as well.
Exactly.
So the point with this is, we can sit there and say people were scared about doing anything with the market the last 2 years, the last 3 years, 2024, 2023, 2022. We're going to see what's going to happen with that, with the economy. Pull up the Reuters article. This is all people see. The people see this. The average person only reads this. The U.S. market loses $4 trillion in value as Trump plows ahead on tariffs. That's the only number they see. What they see is the fact that the Magnificent Seven lost $750 billion in market value on Monday, just on Monday. So, oh my God, NASDAQ registered its worst day since 2022. Tariff fears, growth concerns have, rocketed technology stocks. They read this. They read American whiskey motorcycles to be hit with 50% tariffs in Europe. They see headlines. They see numbers like that, and that scares them. And unfortunately, there's a big part of the market you're not going to be able to control. But the way Lutnick, himself, and others are handling it, they're showing poise. They're like, hey, if you're in it, hang tight. We got to go through it. And but Lutnick said something very interesting. He says, it's so funny. Are you guys not for zero taxes on tips? Are you not for zero taxes on overtime? Are you not for zero tax on Social Security? How come you're not celebrating that stuff? Why are you not talking about this stuff? So this may take place in the interim. I see this being extremely volatile for the next few weeks, maybe a few months. But if you want to really come back and judge on how terrible this is, my opinion, Q4, Q1 of next year, if it's still this bad, Q1 of next year, then they got a problem ahead of midterms.
So how familiar are you with this optimism index? Did you read into that story at all, by the way?
Which one is that?
So here's a story right here. Small businesses report second highest level of uncertainty in 39 years. So it's almost what you're saying.
Yeah.
Don't believe the hype. Don't fall for the headlines. Because I actually did a lot of research on this. So I'm thinking, holy moly, Trump is killing small businesses. The highest level of uncertainty in 39 years. Oh my God. We've heard about the misery index, right? Mm-hmm. Which is basically, we've talked about it with Iran.
Inflation plus unemployment.
Inflation plus unemployment. I'm like, what the hell is this optimism index? And here's what I found. And it almost proves your point, PBD. So the optimism index has dropped quite significantly. It went from 104 to 100. I'm thinking, all right, what does this mean? Pull up this chart. This is for the 10-year optimism index. Notice that in 2016, if you can see the bottom of it, Rob, it spikes big time.
Who was elected in the fall of 16?
Exactly. So it goes from hovering in the low 90s. Trump gets elected. It's in the hundreds. Wow.
Stays above 103 his
COVID
entire
happens,
administration.
Small businesses, low regulation, lower taxes. They're excited. PBD, you told the story about however long you've been here, how many months you've been here, you're getting $500. You were giving out money like you're freaking Oprah at PHP. The point is this. COVID happens. Biden administration assumes office. Optimism index tanks. Here's the deal. Trump gets elected. Skyrockets. And this is why you can't trust headlines. In the last month, it's quote unquote plummeted. But if you just take a straight line where you see the number 103, never during the Biden administration was it over 100. So yes, it's lower than usual, but it's way higher under the Biden administration.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. The average person is being fed fear porn, and it's working with the average person. But unfortunately, the right people saw the Tesla stock and they said, let's buy some stock.
Opportunity, yeah.
Hey, there's things discounted right now. Let's call the shots and pick up a few things right now. This is a good time to buy. Sell. I mean, that's the whole part about
people. We know
people.
that the mainstream media is going to use every tactic they can to make it seem like the sky is falling, Trump's ruining everything.
Buffett said it best. Buy when people are afraid. Sell when people are being greedy. It's very simple. Always pay attention to those indexes. Now, let's move on to the next story. Story about protesters arrested over Columbia's university student detainment. Rob, if you want to pull this up here, I'll read it, and then there's a clip I'm sure you want to play. We got a couple of them. Dozens of protesters were arrested in New York City after rallying against the detainment of Mahmoud Khalil, a 29-year-old Palestinian from Syria and former Columbia University student, with the New York Post noting that at least a dozen were handcuffed for blocking street and ignoring NYPD orders to clear the road. Student activists began with a sit-in at Columbia University on Tuesday, followed by hundreds marching Washington Square Park through Lower Manhattan, chanting, "Move cops, get out the way, we know you're Israeli trained," and "Oink, oink, piggy, piggy, we're going to make your lives," shitty. As reported by CBS News, images showed them wearing keffiyehs and face coverings while carrying Palestinian flags. Rob, if you got a clip here of it, okay, go for it. Watch this clip, folks. This is where, Rob?
New York City.
You're agitating. That's illegal. Get off of it. That is illegal. Get the off of me. Listen, get these
You want to go to Marco Rubio's clip, Rob? Do you have another one you want to play outside of that?
I have a few.
Okay, go play a couple of these clips. Let's see these.
This is protesters explaining why they're outside the courthouse.
Okay.
We're outside of the courthouse where Mahmoud Khalil's hearing is set to take place. Ever since he was arrested for his anti-genocide stance, thousands of pro-Palestine demonstrators across the United States have been in the streets to demand his release.
Mahmoud has been detained, disappeared by the Department of Homeland Security and ICE on the orders of Trump and Rubio for no other reason than protesting the genocide of his own people.
It's really cruel. Listen, I'm very moved by anyone taken by ICE. We have.
Hey, Rob, go
I've
to
been
the
to
clip
the
by Marco Rubio.
As a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, as on a visitor's visa. Okay, you are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities, I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here,
that sounds like common sense.
We're going to kick you out.
Good. Vinny, your thoughts?
Common sense, Pat, which a lot of people don't have it. But it's like Trump said he was going to do this. He warned everybody that if you're foreign, I'm going to say the word foreign student involved in unlawful protests, and you're going to get deported. Okay, and just FYI, do you know what's the percentage of Columbia's enrollment for foreign students? Adam, I think you said it yesterday.
Yeah, you said it was like 50%.
50% of Columbia's enrollment are people that are foreign, people that aren't supposed to be.
Columbia and Brown are two of the most liberal Ivy League schools that we have. The top two.
And let me ask you a question. Like, are they learning anything there, or is it just like an activist training ground instead of somewhere to actually learn, okay? And they aren't peaceful. I don't know if everybody at home that's watching these things, it's not peaceful. It's disruptive, aggressive, and it's illegal. And I want to ask you a question, and you especially, Pat. If an American went to Egypt or Iran and started leading an anti-government protest in the middle of the street against their government, what happens to that person?
It's a different story, though. They don't have. So the argument to that would be, that's what makes America special, because we have freedom of assembly. We have freedom to protest. We have that right. They're going to give you that argument. In that country, go ahead and do it, see what they'll do to you.
That's what I'm saying. So you are a guest here. This guy graduated 2024. What's up with his visa? He's just here. Mind you, I'm pro-protest, do whatever you want. You're not from here. You're not an American citizen. You're probably getting paid by, some group, some George Soros freaking Open Society Foundation, which is goal is to do that. This isn't organic. These type of movements, these type of disruption, it's not organic. I'm just anybody that's not from here that wants to sit here and bash us. And by the way, people are getting hurt. You don't know who's getting stabbed or whatever the hell's happening. I'm anti any of that shit. Period.
Tom.
And by the way, something very interesting. It was buried in a Wall Street Journal article yesterday. I'm going to read it verbatim. I'm not adding anything to it, no spin, and I'm going to read it with just a straight voice. There is a second conflict simmering behind the scenes at Columbia University, a faculty civil war. It's pitting medical doctors and engineers on one side against political scientists and humanities scholars over how to handle the Palestinian demonstrations that have disrupted campus life. Listen to those two groups. You've got humanities on one side and political science, and on the other side, medical doctors and engineers. What are the medical doctors and engineers saying? They're saying, what the hell? We're trying to, this is spring semester. We've got all this disruption on campus. We're trying to run a place of learning. And look at that. They're calling it a faculty civil war. But what side of that faculty civil war is not being covered by the media? Guess what? The engineers and the medical doctors that are saying, can we just calm the flip down and get back to education here? And can we get these protesters under control? But the political science and humanities are beloved by the media, and they are the ones where the flames are being fanned.
Adam.
I love it. I hope they keep it up. I encourage them to keep protesting, especially if you're a foreign student here on a visa. Keep it up. Voice your opinion. You won't be here long. You saw what Trump did. He took, I think, $500 million in federal grants away from Columbia. You don't think that the presidents or the dean of students at Columbia University goes, yo, bro, we just lost $500 million fucking dollars for this thing when kids are supposed to be in school learning, getting smarter, getting better, and they're here doing this peaceful protest.
It's not peaceful.
And look how much it's backfiring.
Or stuck in their dorms because they want no part of the protest.
That's
And
true.
those students are waiting to go to class.
And, they F around and find out. We already know what they're going to find out.
Oh, yeah.
Trump has been very clear. By the way, we talked about who are the clients of universities, right, Pat? Who are the biggest clients of universities? The donors, right? So we talk a lot about here, like, what is AIPAC doing? What is China doing? You know what's very much under the radar? We talked about Soros.
Yeah.
Do we know what Qatar is doing? Qatar has the #1 GDP per capita, I want to say, in the world, behind Luxembourg. Everyone's very wealthy there. Big oil money. This article was sent to me, okay? Watchdogs sue U.S. government over Qatar's billions in university funding. Why do we know about Qatar? Well, we know about it because they're the ones literally letting Hamas billionaires and millionaires hang out, putting them up in their nice palaces and nice hotels while their people suffer. So here's some numbers for you.
Didn't they kick out the Arab Brotherhood the day after the election?
They should. I don't know, but we know that Qatar funds Al Jazeera. Here's a number for you, Tom. How much money do they say that Qatar has given to American universities in the last 18 years? Since
February 2024 report for full year was $6 billion.
$6 billion coming from Qatar. Do you think Qatar is giving money so they can be pro-American or pro-democracy, or basically try to tear down the West within itself? So follow the money. Qatar is one of the biggest sponsors of terrorism behind Iran. There's another clip. I don't know if you can see this. This is from an Arab Muslim voicing his outrage about the Palestinian situation because he's like, what about my people? I think he's from Yemen, I want to say. Watch this guy.
Arab League and everyone who has been raising the Palestinian flag since October 7. Where is the flag of Yemen? In my country, 500,000 people have died in the last 10 years. The biggest famine and humanitarian crisis in modern history. Why does no one care when 500,000 Yemenis die? What about Sudan? In less than 2 years, more than 150,000 people have been killed. Where is the flag of Sudan? What about Syria? 500,000 Syrians have been killed. Where is the Syrian flag? High Commissioner, why is it that when Arabs kill millions of Arabs, no one bats an eye? Where is the outrage and where are the protests? Why don't you mention the Houthis in Yemen who have spent millions of dollars firing missiles at Israel instead of feeding my starving people? May I ask why your report mentions Israel 188 times, yet fails to mention the Islamic regime in Iran even once? How can you speak about the conflict while ignoring the party that has armed, trained, and funded terror proxies like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis who have been bombing Israel thousands of times? And why is Qatar sitting here as a member of the Human Rights Council when they host the Hamas terror leaders in luxury hotels?
Bingo. Qatar. So I don't know if he's a fan of Israel or doesn't like Israel. To me, it's almost irrelevant. He's basically saying, what about what else is happening? In my country of Yemen, 500,000 people have died. You don't hear anything.
Let me tell you.
No Jews, no news.
Yeah. So Rob, can you play the clip of what Trump said about Chuck Schumer, saying Chuck Schumer is pretty much free Palestine. He's Palestinian now. If you have that clip.
What it says.
So while you're doing this, everybody is right there. Look at that one. Go back and then show the picture afterwards.
Okay.
No, show it after. Yeah, right there. Look at it. Go ahead, Rob. Play the clip.
Allah Akbar.
Oh,
blame the Democrats. And Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. He's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian. Okay. Blame the Democrats.
Simple. So this is the part where one after another, the Democrats are losing the votes for siding with what they're siding with. So strategically, they're kind of trying to find themselves to see what's going to be happening here. But yeah, look at that.
The list goes on. Chuck Schumer, Jewish, does not support Israel. Bernie Sanders, proudly not a support of Israel. George Soros, clearly
hates everybody.
So real quick,
himself.
if you're a Christian, you have to believe in one thing. You have to believe in Jesus. Literally, it's like if you don't believe in Jesus,
You're not a Christian.
You're not Christian.
Obviously.
If you're a Muslim, you have to believe in Allah, or you're not really a Muslim. Muhammad. Exactly. But there's Jews who don't believe in God. There's Jews who never go to temple. There's Jews who have zero religious identity whatsoever. But culturally, they're Jewish. Their parents are Jewish. Their family's Jewish. So it's very unique how Jews cannot support the only Jewish state in the world. There's 50 Arab states and Muslim states. 50. There's one Jewish state. So I'm not trying to go all off on the Richter scale here, but there's one state, and Jews take that pretty seriously.
There you go. All right, so let's go to the next story here. Guys, if you remember, we showed the clip of Jamie Dimon on a private call or Zoom or recording conference call, whatever it was, talking about working from home. In this setting here, guys, this is wild. He's being asked a question of working from home. Somebody from the crowd asks, and his response, if this is the clip I think it is, his response is magical. Go ahead, Rob.
Stanford University.
You have a free market. You can do one thing, I can do another. This one, that's what's called a free market. If you work in a restaurant, you got to be in. You all may not know this, but 60% of Americans work the whole time. Where did you get your Amazon packages from? Your beef, your meat, your vodka. Where did you get the diapers from? Where do you got UPS and FedEx and manufacturers and agriculture and hospitals and cities and schools and nurses and sanitation and firemen and military. They all worked. It's only this people in the middle who complain a lot about it. I'm being quite serious. And you go to Washington, D.C. now, some of these people are coming 5 days a month, and you're paying for it. But the other thing, here's why it doesn't work in our business. So it may very well work in certain things. The amount for the younger people being left behind, I've known this for a while. We can prove a little bit of it, and that is cumulative. It's not like the first month you're working. It's by the second year you have less people, you're put on less assignments, you know less what's going on, you have less conversations at the water cooler or in the cafeteria, so it's leaving them behind. I won't do that. And to have the younger people coming in but not their bosses, I have a problem with that too. And then people say to me always, well, it works for me. But actually, we were on a Zoom yesterday, and people were saying it works for me. And I said, yeah, but people are reading their mail and getting their notifications. And as I was talking, there were 12 people in the room and 4 people on the screen, and all 4 people on the screen were on their phone. And people say, and you think you're focusing and learning? And then as a management tool, when we meet in the morning, we talk, we have these debates all day long. We're talking, hey, no, I checked on that you're right about that. Here's what I think we should do. All day long. Constant update, constant share of information. So I tell you, it doesn't work in our business. And for culture, you talk about culture, it's impossible to do culture that way. And so, for us, we've made a decision. And that's why I explained it to him in a lot of detail and stuff like that.
Tall for this. Tom, thoughts?
Well, first of all, to the little pissant who probably has his daddy's wallet in his pocket. Yep, there's the audience. Yeah,
is he the one asking the question?
There he is.
Yeah, I cut that out.
If you want Harold, to play it, that right there is Harold Pissant. Right?
No, but play the question, Rob. Play the question.
I've admittedly listened to the leaked audio clip that was circulating on Twitter about your strong opinions about working from home or remote work. And I think many of us, as we think about the next steps in our career and thinking about going to places that are 5 days in person or remote work, or industries like investment banking where it's always been hybrid, 5 days in the office and 2 days at home. Would love to just hear some of your thoughts or guidance or advice on how we should think about these topics.
Yeah, so I do.
Playing gotcha with him. Chuckle, 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 right? So here's what I think. Jamie Dimon has a smile there, and he's basically dealing with neophytes. And rather than just cut them off at the knees, which he could have done, he just lays out facts. Did you know 60% of the people were still working? That's how you get your Amazon packages, your cops, your firemen, your military, and all this. And I think Jamie Dimon is not doubling down on his position. He's reinforcing his position. And you see this is tomorrow's leaders. Do you see how they were looking at that guy and they were kind of smirking, like they were glad he was asking the question and everything? That little pissant, that's exactly the people who's not going to get hired. And what is Jamie talking about? These are a bunch of entitled kids who went to private schools and are now at Stanford. It says, and Jamie's talking about, how are you going to have culture? How are you going to develop? How are you going to, you can't do that working from home. And these people don't see it because they've walked this line. Most of these people, I would say 90% of these people, have walked a line of entitlement of things that have been given to them and they've been at private school. They haven't been in a situation where they have to work, they have to develop, they have to push. And look at all the smirks and look at all that there. At the question, oh, he's going to go after the big guy. Look at this. It makes me sick. It really makes me sick.
But you know what's great about this? So imagine if you're a parent of one of those kids out there and you actually have influence over your kids and they call you for advice and you're trying to tell them how to be competitive. Well, you know how awesome of an opportunity this is for the other kids? You know how great of an opportunity that is for the other kids? And say, look, hey, guess what? You go work for a company, never ask to work from home. Be there. Be as present as possible, show your face, work hard, come early, leave late, be the leader, be the example, have the debate, have the discussion, set the example. You're going to have many opportunities that come your way. Because if you're sitting there at the office, it's like, you know what, man, we need somebody to go. Let me tell you how many times it's as simple as this. Hey, can you grab John to come over here? Oh, he's not here for the day. Oh, shoot. Okay, then just grab Larry. Let's bring him in. Larry gets the opportunity.
No.
Just because he's there.
Yep.
He gets the opportunity over John. You're like, hey, come on, let's have a conversation with you. I love that he's doubling down on this. 4 years ago, that was known as controversial. 4 years ago, given a message like that, he would have been seen as a terrible leader that lacks understanding and empathy for the youth. Today, he's doubling down and he's being loud about it. And I'm fully supportive of it. Adam.
I'm actually totally okay with people working remote or working from home if they've been in the business for over a decade and they've actually been around the business for a long time. And if you're commission-based, your bonus depends on... That's a
different story, though.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if you're a college kid just graduating, buddy, the last thing you need to be doing is working from home and working remote. So you need mentors, you need leadership, you need to be around the office, you need to be around your like-minded individuals. What do they say? That culture beats strategy for breakfast any single day. Our friend Mario Aguilar always says that. So no strategy will compensate for poor culture. If you're not in the office and if you're not part of the team, Pat always says more is caught than taught. Sometimes you got to be around it. You got to see Tom with the Tommy Bahama shirt. Mm-hmm. You got to see Vinny singing Jodeci.
By the way,
you got to see Pat.
That could cause
not
people
like
to work
an onion.
from home.
That's what about.
That's my only caveat. I will defend the work from home community.
Yeah,
you see too much Tommy Bahama stuff.
But we're only hearing Key Biscayne at Adam's grandma's house for a couple days.
It's a very different story.
You've said it before, whether it's Lincoln on leadership, whether it's more is caught than taught. During COVID, we were in Dallas working every single day.
Yes. And by the way, for some of you guys that don't know, we're out of town. This is a different set we're using. If you are on our Menect Circle, private Menect Circle, where everybody gets to communicate throughout the day and the notes that we're sharing with you is there, you would have an idea where we are today, that this is not our permanent set. This is a temporary set, folks. We'll be back to our old set here soon. As much as Tom loves the new set here, we are eventually going to go back to the other set here very, very soon. Let me go to the next story.
Did you say I love Newsom?
Yeah, so there's this story about Michelle Obama starting a podcast. And I kind of want to go through this, Michelle Obama's podcast. And her and her brother, they started a podcast. They look like twins. If you want to... No, I'm actually not being sarcastic.
Yeah, well, if she
Rob, what is this, Rob?
This is the announcement of the podcast.
Okay, play the clip. Maybe this will help out a little bit with subscribership. Go ahead and play the clip.
Hey, TikTok. It's Michelle Obama, and I'm here with my big brother, Craig.
Hey, everybody.
We're here because we're excited to announce the launch of our new podcast called
You can stop it right there.
With Michelle.
So they start a podcast, and... so their podcast, Rob, if you can actually do me a favor and actually go to the YouTube channel. go to the YouTube channel of Michelle Obama's new podcast, okay? So if you just go to YouTube and type in and go to their podcast, the IMO, Michelle Obama, there you go. Okay, watch this, folks. They've uploaded so far 4 clips, okay? They've uploaded so far 4 clips. Can you go to the channel right there? So zoom in a little bit. 4 videos have been uploaded. They've done 1 episode, and they have 17,700 subscribers. Oh. Let me kind of give you some perspective on what that means, Rob. Rob, can you go to one of the episodes? And go to that one right there, okay? So 47,000 views is what it's got. Let's go to the comment section to see what the comments are saying. Man. Have they left it open or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Zoom in a little bit, Rob. Remember when this guy drowned his chef in a lover's... Okay, wow, that's...
Okay.
Came here for comments. Didn't watch the video. I paid IRS fine for 3 years in a row because your husband said I should pay for health care that I couldn't afford or else. They're going to have to disable comments next episode.
There it is.
The internet is a great gauge for how influential someone is. The old guard media is absolutely dead. I worked my balls off to get here. I don't know what that is about. Joan Rivers was right.
Hello.
Barely 16,000 views. Okay, so now here's what I want to do.
Jeez.
Rob, could you go and do me a favor and go to all her social media profiles to count how many followers she has? So go on X, go on Instagram. This is the best way to do it. There you go. One by one. Let's just put up all of them. So watch this. Instagram. I want you to count this, folks. Instagram is how many followers? 57 million followers. Yes. Okay. And you see the link to their podcast right there. Go to the next one, Facebook. How many followers on Facebook? What's the number, Rob?
19 million.
19 million is Facebook. Okay. Can you go to TikTok or X? Let's see where they're at with X. How many followers on X?
21.
22 million followers on X. And where is she at with TikTok? Because she uploaded a video there as well. And you go to TikTok and see what that is. On TikTok, it is, do you see a channel? Do you see an account?
This is the podcast channel.
No, I want her account. Okay, so that account is 164,000. All right, so I added the numbers here. You got roughly 100 million followers. Imagine having 100 million followers and you sold your book. And it was record-breaking a few years ago when she sold her book. I don't know what the number was. How many copies did Michelle Obama's book sell? I don't know what the number is, but I heard it was record-breaking. Okay, 17 million copies was sold worldwide in 2018. That's when they were really, their reputation, 17 million copies. Everybody's like, oh my God, they made so much money. I don't know how much money was made. I think the number was like 36 million. How much did she get paid for it, for the books? I don't know. $65 million was paid in advance for the book. $65 million was paid in advance for the book. And then now you do a podcast with 100 million followers that you promote everywhere, and you only have 17,000 subscribers. Let's do some basic math here. Okay, can you go to Ronaldo's account on Instagram? Go to Ronaldo's account on Instagram. Ronaldo's account on Instagram. Check this out. So if you go to Ronaldo's account on Instagram, how many followers does he have? 650 million followers. Jeez. He decides to start a YouTube channel, and he promotes it, okay? Go to his YouTube channel, Rob. We'll do the math here as well. If you go to his YouTube channel, just go to his YouTube channel, Rob. Okay, there you go. That's not it, Rob. Go to his YouTube channel. You're going to a sponsor. Just go to his YouTube channel, type in Ronaldo, okay? He decides to start a YouTube channel. We're gonna do some math here together, okay? And go solve for, what is it?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Go to, okay, Rob, just.
Sorry, I spelled it wrong. That's why.
Okay. And then go to the channel. How many subs?
74.1 million.
So 74. So let's kind of look at this. So some people might say, well, that's not fair because she has 57 million Instagram followers and he has 650 million. Let's do percentage, okay? So if I do percentage out of 650 million followers, what percentage did he get? Divided by 74.1.
13%?
13%. So 13% of Ronaldo's followers went to YouTube to subscribe. 17,000 subscribers divided by 58 million. I'm sorry, 17,000 subscribers divided by 57 million followers. Do you know what percentage went? Do you guys really want to know? 0.003% went to want to subscribe to our channel. Did you understand what number I just said right now? To say they've lost their influence and their sizzle of what the Obamas used to be would be an understatement. You get 17,000 subs. Vinny's Vitamin Comedy just crossed 300,000 subs. Unusual Suspect just crossed 100,000 subs. 17,000 subs. And by the way, I got more thoughts on this. I'll pause. I'll come to you guys from comments. I got 3 things I want to say that I feel this is the reason why she's doing it. Vinny, your thoughts on this?
Well, I saw a bunch of bits and pieces of it, and it's nothing. There. First of all, nobody knows who your brother is, and actually, nobody cares. Like, if you're going to go something like that, have a personality, have something bigger, because you know what she was doing? She's just spilling the beans on her family secrets. She's taking about how her husband, Barry, got on her nerves, how he doesn't get people. You know, it turns out Michelle, you know, he had problems with her, problems. It's just her just airing out all their problems. She's like, yeah, he goes and golfs with the boys. He comes back. I'm with the girls. I want to be left alone. It's like she's not saying anything. And the fact that, I mean, I do give her respect for whoever's running the actual channel, leaving the comments on, which is insane. I don't know if they're going to keep it on for the rest of it. But you nailed it, Pat. That whole Obama, Michelle, like this election really let everybody know how tired they are of this whole, you're just supposed to be a blind loyalist just because Barack Obama was the first black president and Michelle Obama is his wife. What did she do? What has Michelle Obama done? Where, by the way, you want to talk about a fall from grace? She was selling out arenas. Do you understand what an arena is? People were going there, and for what? To hear her say what? What has she done? Has she cured anything? Has anything happened? No, you were just the first lady. And I'm not disrespecting women. I'm just saying, what have you done to get this allure and people that are so behind you? I think it's great that it's actually being exposed, that nobody wants to hear it, and people are tired, because if this is her way, like Gavin Newsom, by the way, Gavin, if you see him with his hands on his podcast, he cannot stand sitting in one place because his body shakes because of his hand movements. But if this is her way of trying to get into the presidential race in 2028, it's not good. It's a wrap. It's over.
Michelle Obama, what a fall from grace. Just a few short years ago, she was the first lady. Now she's the black call her daddy. This is what's happening right now in 2025. She was the president's wife, a speculative candidate for 2020 and 2024. Vinny's going to revive her 2028 chances. I don't think she's ever going to run. I think it's all hype. And now she's a podcaster. Wow. Welcome to our world, Michelle Obama.
Well, let me show this,
It ain't
Rob.
that easy.
If you can pull up the X, and then I'll go to Tom. And I'm going to pose the question to see where Tom's going to go with this. So here's a couple things that everybody needs to know about. I tweeted this yesterday. Strange time, and Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom start a podcast within 2 weeks of each other. Accidental or intentional? Not sure. I give the breakdown of our followers and how many people subscribe. Barack Obama started a podcast in 2021, lasted 8 episodes before Spotify and them didn't renew the deal. Michelle and Barack had previously launched a podcast called the Michelle Obama Podcast in 2020, lasted 9 episodes. So far, Newsom's podcast outperformed, and I actually like what Newsom is doing. To be fair with him, his podcast, he had Steve Bannon on, he had Charlie Kirk on, he's having a lot of different people on. Stay on that tweet, Rod, if you can go back. So the conclusion is this. What's the reason for them doing this? 1, podcasting is hard, and she can't do it. 2, Obama's lost their influence. 3, they're fighting to be the Rogan of the left. Everyone's trying to be the Rogan of the left. 4, Michelle and Newsom are running for president in 2028, or they're just doing it to have fun. Which one do you think it is, Tom?
I think, I thought this last night, I think it's number 1 and number 2. They've lost their influence, and podcasting is hard. You know, you need the 10,000 to be an expert in a lot of things. We've all heard that. It's not a saying, it's a proof, and it's a formula of what it takes you to become an expert in something. And podcasting is really hard, and they've lost their influence. I think it's 1 and 2, mostly 2.
Can I tell you what else is going on? Let me give you speculation, okay? Again, let me tell you, I watched Newsom's podcast with Kirk. I actually think Newsom has what it takes to do a podcast. I think so too. I think he's got what it takes to do a podcast. I think a part about him going back and forth and debate and pushing, you want to watch on what he has to say, right? Michelle, the podcast they make, there's 2 different types of podcasts. There's a type of podcast that you just want to sit there and talk to the audience one-on-one. And it works for some people. But eventually it's kind of like, look, man, is there anybody else do you want to interview and talk to other people? I kind of want to hear what other people have to say, right? So you watch, Rogan's interviewing other people. You're sitting there, and then you see panel. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? You can say whatever you want about The View. Guess what everybody talks about every week? The View. Why? Because here's what she said, here's what he said, here's what she said. So they're bringing, even though you can't stand what they stand for, they bring, Tulsa. They'll bring and have the fight with Stephen A. They'll bring and put the people on there, Junior and all these guys, and have the conversations with them. Of course, you don't agree with it. Michelle is doing a podcast from a standpoint of, you guys know who I am. We're going to do good because I'm Michelle Obama. But let me tell you what I think she's trying to do. And again, pure speculation, folks. I may be fully wrong here. I think she's taking a page out of Jada Pinkett's playbook. Because I think they're getting ready to announce that something's going on in the marriage. And I think this is their way of doing it in a very subtle way. Because if you're taking shots at him slowly, you're taking shots, they're going in games in different ways. I'm not sure if there's been an entanglement or not, but I think there may be a possibility of a news coming here soon that could actually get her podcast to blow up. And you know what could get her podcast to blow up? If she announces that they're getting a divorce.
Yeah.
That day, they'll get a few 100,000 subs. And then that's where the controversy will come. So I don't know if she's trying to do the Jada thing and finding the next thing to, what was her podcast that she was doing? It was called Red Table or something like that. And then Will came on because you know who's going to be a guest very soon. Obama's going to be a guest very soon.
And that's when they're going to get, like you said, 50,000
Again, I don't know if that's the case or not. All I'm saying is I'm getting the vibes that Newsom's doing it because he wants to run for president. Michelle is doing it for other reasons to try to control the narrative. I just don't know if it's landed so far.
And you know why I think that's because if you think about it, just break it down because that's a very good point. She didn't go to Jimmy Carter's funeral. Okay, disrespect. You're the first lady. Barack goes. She's on vacation, mind you, by herself. You don't go to the inauguration. Your husband goes. You're not there. She's on another vacation. Okay. Then Barack Obama is going to basketball games by himself. They're not in the spotlight together. You're supposed to be going to these places with your wife. And if you go back into history and you look at the interview with Tucker Carlson with Larry Sinclair, and if you believe it, which I believe it, affidavit, lie detector test pass, the guy's been hooking up, writing letters, Rob, what was it, to his college sweetheart, saying that he fantasizes about sleeping with men. This is Barack Obama's diary or whatever his
daily,
memoirs.
By the way, he said, I fantasize about sleeping with men daily.
Daily. I think.
What's wrong with that?
I think this has been not a problem. He's been, my opinion, he's been a homosexual for this whole time, and this whole marriage thing is just a thing for the public eye. That's it. Period.
Okay. I love you guys.
Yeah.
Vinny, you're my friend.
Yeah.
You know, on camera we have issues. Off camera,
I don't have issues with you ever.
No. I respect the hell out of PBD. That's my guy. That's my mentor. It's my friend. It's my boss.
Yeah.
I think you guys are dead wrong.
Really?
In my opinion.
Okay.
I think this is all speculation. You know, I know you were a Jada guy back in the day, in the 90s. The movie she was Set It Off, and she was also in
Jason's Lyrics.
But somehow, crazy ass Jada and Will are still together.
That's not the story.
After the entanglement.
Buddy, that's not the story, though.
So
that's not the story.
Can I
finish? But Jada and Will, if you saw the story that was going the other day about the fact that they took a picture after Will was getting a little too friendly with another girl that was on a dancing. I don't know if you followed that story or not.
Latin dancing.
They've had an open relationship.
Oh,
so
for
if you're
sure.
saying you can. A lot of people stay married, but they have an open relationship, and it's like, do whatever you want, just don't publicly embarrass me.
Exactly.
So that's not really being married, though. That's contractually
according
being married.
To Tate, that's perfectly fine. Whatever floats your boat.
Contractually, they're married.
Sure.
I don't know if you would qualify as a happily married couple.
If I were him, you know, it's cheaper to keep her. Who knows what he's going to do? There's also a story, allegedly, he walked in the house, and she was there with Mark Anthony, and the two of them weren't looking so good right after he walked in, Will Smith. But regarding Obama's, I don't think they're getting a divorce. I mean, why would he let his wife do this? This is going to be a little hot take here, contrary to public opinion. I actually think she's a woman. She's a big-ass woman.
That's fine.
I don't think she's a man. There's a lot of speculation with that. I think what they've realized is this. We really messed up not doing our podcast and continuing our podcast 3-4 years ago. They were doing it. They saw that Kamala's dumbass didn't go on Rogan. She spent all sorts of money. Somehow they raised $1 billion and they're in debt. And they realized this is the new landscape of media. We got to get this thing going. Now, I don't think it's going to last. I think they're going to stop because it's hard. We've been doing this 5 years. By the way, happy 5th anniversary of COVID, guys. It was right around this time 5 years ago, right around the time when we were starting the podcast. But the difference, in my opinion, between them and Gavin Newsom is in his prime, man in the arena. He's fighting the fight. He's going to have people he completely disagrees with. Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon. She's going to have her brother on and they're going to do a little banter. She's past her prime. You know, they say it's better to be a has-been than a never was. She's a has-been. And I think this thing's not going to work.
But just off of a vibe, and I'm sorry, Tom, just off of a vibe, Adam, when you see them taking photos at dinner and he's like in the living room and she's in the freaking dining room, they're trying to hold it, like, don't you feel like just intuition? I know the facts and all that stuff. Do you feel like these two are actually a together, happily married couple? Or sometimes, because this is politics, even if he is what the rumors of Larry Sinclair and all these are, you have to be a married guy to take office. So is there any way that this type of relationship, because it's falling apart, because from the beginning, from the offset, it was all bullshit. It was all for show. Mm-hmm. All for show.
Well, they had 2 kids for show. They ran for president for show.
Are you 100%? I've never seen one pregnant photo of her ever. No, hold on.
Okay,
I know what you're going to say.
Good.
Show me one. Show me a photo of her pregnant.
Number one, facts don't care. Do you know how many married couples that have been married for 50 years that hate each other? I was with my cousin's grandparents the other day. The grandfather and the grandmother are fighting the entire time. I'm like, what's up with these two? He's like, I hate that bitch. I'm like, why are you still married? He's like, I just can't. Just cheaper to keep her. So don't act like marriage isn't easy. You say this all the time. Don't act like people don't stay married for decades if they're not in love anymore or having sex anymore or even get along anymore.
Well, you know what it is, though? This podcast, do you think Barack or even presidents that go away after, like, look at Bush. After he was done, he what? He just went away, became an artist. Why? It's just like, you know what? No, really, it's like, just go away.
Yes.
And anything new you do, you're bringing back up what? Old stories, right? And each of them, their stories are what? Bush's story is what? Weapons of mass destruction. 9/11, right? And remember that one time he had a spoof on stage? He's like, well, do you know which one I'm talking about? Where he's like, yeah, it could have been, do you know?
Yeah, the with the weapons of mass destruction.
Rob, do you know which one I'm talking about or
no? He slip.
Yeah. So anyways, for him, it's that, right? If you go to...
You're saying his legacy.
Everybody has something that they do. Do you think her doing this, you think Barack is happy she's doing this?
I don't. Absolutely.
You think he's happy that these stories are coming out?
Hell no, because this is just 1 or 2 podcasts. She's just scratching the surface, talking about when he comes in. I'm just like, leave. I'm with the girls. Like she's talking like it's a soap opera about a freaking.
Who do you think wears the pants in the Obama relationship?
Oh, she wears all of the pants.
You think she wears the pants?
Oh yes.
Look, let's just look at some. Let's go on the next story, but let's look at.
He was the president of the United States.
She's wearing the
if
pants.
He can't wear the pants in his own household.
She's wearing the pants.
Look, let's just look at a few core facts and get on to the next story. They left the White House in January of 2017. That is coming up on 8.5 years ago. Her book, Becoming, was intentionally released right at the midterm in 2018 when the Dems were trying to kick up all the foam about Russia and everything. November 13, 2018, they released Becoming when there was still relevance for the Obamas and the midterm elections were there. Since that time, there has been nothing but a slide into history by Barack Obama and a certain gentleman at this table that was asked to speak in several places in the past 6 months. He said November 5th was possibly the worst day of Barack Obama's political life, realizing that he absolutely had nothing left in the tank unable to push a candidate over. Pat said that, and he backed it up with all the facts that were there. So I think what we're seeing with Michelle is she's got no juice to pull an audience here. Is she going to do this for some other announcement? Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. But right now, he had no juice in the election. She has no juice to pull an audience. We're coming up on 9 years since they were at their point of relevance.
It is scary, man. It is scary to think about. By the way,
it scares you to think about that you're sliding into history.
I'm going to play this clip, Rob, and then we're going to go to the next story. That's a similar story to this. Rob, can you play the clip of Scott Jennings on Michelle Obama on CNN? Folks, just watch what Scott Jennings does when he talks about Michelle Obama here. Scott Jennings is the current CEO of CNN. He's keeping a business together. Yes, they may as well give him that title. Go ahead and play the clip, Rob, if you could.
Another lifestyle podcast.
She can't stay out of it. She can't just
stay out of it.
She's making money and having fun.
We all are sort of all, it's like programmed to talk about how great she is and how smart she is. I mean, she campaigned a lot for Kamala Harris. She was a key speaker of the Democratic National Convention. Barack Obama was a key strategist for this whole thing that happened last year. And yet somehow Donald Trump still won. So I'm rethinking the premise of that she's the answer to the future, or that any politician is the answer to Democratic Party.
She's not a politician. She's so good that Melania Trump stole her speech.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry,
Gotcha
what?
moment.
She's so good that Melania Trump plagiarized her speech, or do you not remember?
And you like
at the
Scott?
Republican convention.
Scott, you like Michelle Obama?
Yeah, I think she's fine, but just after the I thought she gave a wonderful speech as far as convention speeches go. I'm just looking at what happened last fall. The Obamas helped engineer Biden's ouster. They put in Harris. They ran the campaign. She campaigned for him, and it was a total failure.
Well,
I'm just wondering how good they really are.
There's nothing he said that was false.
No.
And they just don't want to believe it.
No, of course they don't want to believe her. But here's the other one. By the way,
they're kind of close.
This next one I want to show, I don't want to stay on this for too long. I just want to kind of show it, and I want to move on. We'll get real quick commentary. And if you have nothing new to say, let's just kind of move on with it. But I do want to show it. Rob, can you pull up numbers of Meghan Markle? This is another example of when the audience is done with somebody, and they say, we're no longer interested. If you can, you can even pull up the tweet, right, to kind of break down the numbers on this. So Meghan, okay, she decides to go out there and signs a deal with Netflix. I think it's an 8 episode. I don't know how many it is. I'll give you the numbers here. The Duchess of Sussex and former actress who married Prince Harry in 2018 before stepping back as senior royals in 2020 faces ongoing bullying allegations despite effort to reshape her image through her Netflix series with Love. Meghan, crew members told People magazine that she was friendly and approachable, creating a chill. They were paid probably for it. Environment and gifting them pans with personally monogrammed spoon with her handwriting that said, "Thank you, crew." However, British broadcaster Helena Chard noted that in September 2024, Hollywood Reporter called her a dictator in high heels who reduced grown men to tears, suggesting Meghan is desperate to receive accolades and public approvals and longs to be perceived as the best thing since sliced bread. That's the Hollywood Reporter. This is Hollywood Reporters on the left. The 8-episode series with Love, Meghan received harsh criticism for seeming inauthentic, prompting Chart to say the public has long memory of Meghan's behavior, the hurt and upset caused to the royal family, and Meghan hasn't redeemed herself since. Look at the numbers here, folks. Numbers never lie. Meghan Markle's new Netflix show, 8-part series, was watched by 526 households in the first 5 days. By comparison, Harry and Meghan show drew in 2.1 million households in the same amount of days, 4 times more. Harry's the main attraction, not Meghan. This is what happens when the audience is no longer interested in you, and people keep trying to find a way. The PR guys say, "Hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" And they don't want to do it. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, you want to talk about beta males? You are a prince of the royal family, and they basically, because of her, in fact, to be honest with you, I don't follow it. I try to stay away from this as much as possible. But from looking from the outside, look at the influence. You want to talk about wearing the pants, Adam? This chick made the dude leave being he's still a prince, but you're gone from that life to do what? To be walking around like you're a joke in this country right now. Nobody respects it. You're such a beta freaking male, and I just think this is another thing of just your time is done, and you're coming in here and you're begging for people to want to watch you and give a damn about you, and nobody gives a damn.
Rob, can you go on bottom on this tweet if you could? Can you go a little bit lower on this tweet? Watch this. People are commenting on this tweet. Keep going lower, keep going lower, keep going lower, keep going lower, keep going lower. And then you'll see a video where the guy says, this is when it was over with. Okay? This is when it was over with. It's by something called Megan's Mole. And they play this clip. I don't even know if we can show this clip or not. Right there, that's the one. Can we show that clip, Rob, or no?
I don't see why not. We're commenting.
Play the clip for comment. Watch this, folks. But can you turn on the audio?
Bow to your grandmother. And
he makes fun of his family.
To curtsy, especially to an American.
Look at his face.
Like, that's weird.
Now I'm starting to realize this is a big deal. I mean, Americans will understand this. We have medieval times, dinner and tournament. It was like that. Like, I curtsied as though I was like...
He doesn't find that funny.
Oh, of course.
Look at the look on his
Pleasure
face.
to meet you, Your Majesty.
You just disrespected my mother. Look at that. He's
wow.
so embarrassed.
It was
He's so embarrassed.
Beta.
You can. It's not about beta. You know what it is, Vinny? Love is blind at times. Let me tell you, it really screws you up. Remember the whole thing about 20%, 1%, 0.1%?
Yes.
Okay, when you're getting married, what are most people going to tell you?
Congratulations, we love you.
So happy for you. You guys
as
are
hell.
perfect for each
Perfect.
other. You're perfect
With that
for each
tone,
other.
too,
Right.
they say it.
And then there's the one friend that says, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, dude, you know what? Why can't you just be happy for me?
Yeah.
I don't know, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know, buddy, but listen.
I'm seeing signs.
Listen.
Like I know something's wrong.
Did you see how she disrespected you? Did you see how she was with you?
No, that's you don't know about her. You don't know our relationship.
No problem. You do your thing.
Okay.
I had one of my best guys in the company go through something exactly like this, and he married a girl just like that.
Oh, yeah.
That thing lasted 9 months. And he was miserable, and his face, I can play the clip in my face here of him, here of her. It's identical. It's identical. But he had the brass to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Immediately, it's like, dude, I'm out. What is the fishing? What do you do when it's like
Cut the line.
Cut the bait.
cut the line? You're like,
Cut the line.
I'm out of
I'm
here,
done.
dude. I'm out. But he hasn't been able to do it. And I think eventually this guy's going to realize the people that really had your back really have your back.
Mm-hmm.
Make a decision and move on. He made the decision, remarried to somebody incredible. He's super happy. They got a family, they got kids, and she's the perfect person for him. And the other one, oh my God, she was something. She was the Meghan Markle that we had in a company. So anyways, when you see stuff like this is the biggest part in business and in everything you're doing. Just because you're famous for 1 year and you went viral,
Bingo.
doesn't mean you will in 5 years.
Okay, good point.
The
Doesn't
Royals
mean-
are the stars.
That's who the star is.
Damn right.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Jordan said it best when LeBron said, I think we need to retire to number 23 because there will never be another Michael Jordan. And they asked Michael, so what do you think about what LeBron said about retiring your jersey, your number forever, that nobody can wear 23? You know what Michael said? The greatest athlete of all time, he says, you know what, I appreciate those words. Very nice of LeBron to say something like that. He says, but I'm not bigger than the NBA. Michael Jordan says, I'm not bigger than the NBA. Wow. No wonder everybody wants to defend for this guy as being the GOAT because of the way his image was building up the NBA, unlike the other guys tearing down the NBA like LeBron James.
And you know who's beloved? And it's the exact opposite of her. You know who it is? His brother's wife. Kate. She is beloved.
Yeah.
Across the world. And he's the number one son. This guy's a beta. I'm sorry. I have a number for you. If you want to call this number, Harry, it's called Hustlers University, HUSTLERS. Talk to Andrew Tate. He'll set you straight. You're going to need a guy that in your life. We talked about the guy Mahmoud, this is a weird analogy, who was a guest in this country protesting pro-Hamas. You gots to go, buddy. Meghan Markle is that dude in the royal kingdom. Yeah. Like, you're going to come in the palace, in Buckingham Palace, and start telling people what to do and how they need to operate. Bitch, you a guest.
Keep it moving.
It's all about the royals.
Huh?
It is all about the royal family. It's always been about the royal family. We are about to watch history rerunning as it did for Sarah Ferguson. And she still retained the title of Duchess of York after she got divorced from Andrew. And Sarah Ferguson, I hope you're doing well. You're fighting breast cancer. You're an ambassador for breast cancer. My sister's a survivor, so I know you've got life issues. But you know what? After she got divorced, there was a couple media attempts, there was a book attempt, and then she faded away. The public wants to know about the royals. The royals are the stars, the ex-wife, ex-girlfriends, everybody else, especially if you're disrespectful, goodbye.
That's right. Look, you can sit there and think for a moment, everybody likes your fan base. Start trashing America a little bit. See what happens to you. Yeah. I have Democrats forever. America, Michelle says the first time I was really proud to be an American was the day Barack Obama became a president. Shit. What?
Yeah.
America's bigger than you. What are you talking about? Don't forget the situation. That's the part that they lack the perspective, because the amount of flattery you get behind closed doors, and you don't have somebody to say to you, hey, Michelle, yeah, what's up? Can I say something to you? Yeah, what's that?
Yeah.
You just used the bathroom. Yeah. And I just went in there to wash my hands. What about it? Place smells horrible.
Mm-hmm.
My God, your shit stinks.
Yeah.
Where are you going with this? You don't walk on water.
Yeah.
Just kind of tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
America helped you have the opportunity to become who you are today. Mm-hmm. Be a little bit grateful for this great country. Mm-hmm. Build up the country. Don't buy into the flattery of people telling you all that and then some. The moment you turn, they're going to turn their back on you and they'll be gone in no time. Mm-hmm. And you will lose that relevance you once used to have. You best stay grateful, or else they will turn against you ASAP.
Yep.
And that's the one thing where it's part of the 0.1%.
Of course.
Who the hell is going to give that advice?
No one.
Nobody's going to give that advice. All right, let's go to the next story here. Next story I want to get into is Bill Burr is having a rant. This is towards who? This is towards Elon Musk? Is this the one that you...
Musk, I don't know if he's on a podcast, but I don't know what the
Yes.
hell.
Is this the one, Rob?
Yes,
Okay,
it's from his podcast, Monday Morning Podcast.
Okay, go. How long is this clip, Rob?
This is about 1 minute and 37 seconds. And just so you know, this just broke news yesterday and today, but this clip actually came out on the 17th of February. So this has been out there, just nobody reported on it, which goes to show nobody's listening to Bill Burr.
Play the clip.
I'll tell you what's funny. I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice. And I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for what a fucking baby. Just like Hitler, a fucking baby.
Yeah.
How about the fact that the Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that? Going to another country and
Vinny?
And just...
He's not done. He's not done.
What happened, Rob?
Because I've decided...
What happened?
Yeah, he doesn't mind living under a dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it. Fucking laminated face cunt. Because that's another thing. All of these people that are into fucking Hitler, you know what I mean? And like look at this guy like he was some sort of fucking hero. The guy's one of the biggest fucking cowards ever. All the pain and all the suffering that guy's caused and the war crimes the Allies had to commit, firebombing fucking cities to get that motherfucker. When it came time for him to pay the price for all the suffering he caused millions and millions and millions of people.
Vinny.
Did he face the music? No, he gave himself a nice, quick, painless fucking death.
Vinny, I'm going to ask you the question. I'll tee it up for you.
Well, what?
We had a poll. Is Bill Burr a top 10 comedian? You said yes. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Publicly.
Stop.
You realize
Stop.
He's not funny.
Stop for a second. Let him react. Don't change the topic because you're going comedy. Let him react to what he said about Musk. This is not a comedy topic. Go ahead.
I personally don't know what happened to Bill Burr. Okay, maybe it's his wife. Maybe she's in his ear. Maybe it's something else. But the signs are there. Funny story. So back in LA, the pandemic's over. Okay, one of my friends, Mark, is doing comedy shows outside in Hollywood behind like one of those nightclubs. Bill Burr walks in, tight ass. I'm talking about the mask was so tight. Nobody else is wearing masks. He's the only one. Tight mask. This is how gone he is as a liberal. Goes on stage, kind of, away from everybody, doesn't want to go on anybody. Then he goes on stage. The stage is circular. Then he takes off his mask and he proceeds to tell jokes, Rob. And now everybody's laughing, projectile spitting towards him. So the irony is just, it's hilarious. And the fact that he's saying he thinks Elon Musk, guys, and the fact that it came out, Rob, last month, he still thinks you're so stupid and gullible. You think this guy is going to do the Nazi salute twice? That just shows how stupid Bill Burr is, okay? That's how gone he is. I guarantee you he was one of the BLM posting the black squares and all that shit. He probably donated, even though they stole all the freaking money. But here's my question, Bill. What have you ever built? What have you built? We talked about this yesterday. Your podcast studio, Elon Musk, Zip2, PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla, Solar City, OpenAI, Neuralink, helping people that can't move any of their freaking limbs talk and type on a fucking computer. All right? The Boring Company, XAI, and the list can keep going, okay? And he bought Twitter so people like us can actually speak out, Bill. Not like the one that had before that was actually treating it like Nazis, kicking people off the platform and censoring people, okay? Meanwhile, he's sitting over there and you're talking shit about a guy that's revolutionizing the world, changing the freaking game. And let's not forget who Bill Burr is. He was at some sneaker thing, Rob. You can look it up. A millionaire, multi-millionaire that used a capitalist country to become a millionaire, talking shit about the system, and then says free Luigi. Okay, free Luigi, a guy that murdered. I don't give a shit how you feel about the guy. Praising a guy that murdered a guy in the middle of the street in cold blood, that's married and has children, just shows exactly what Hollywood does to these fucking liberals like Bill Burr. Bill Burr, still funny as hell, but something has shifted and is changing, and that's what Hollywood does to these people. It's freaking sad, bro. And you've admitted it. Bill Burr says, I'm just a comedian. And this is the game that they play. I'm just a comedian. Don't take me serious. No, you open your mouth and you talk shit, so people are going to talk shit back to you. And he said this before. Bill knows this. He goes, I don't read. Maybe you should start reading, Bill. Start reading a book. Open up a book because he sounds like a freaking idiot. Moron.
Tom.
I think the last part of what Vinny just said really resonates with me. If you're going to be a comedian, there's a difference between satire and obvious humor and a rant. And when you make a rant, which is like you're publishing your opinion on the inside of the LA Times, when you make a rant like that, then you're going to face the music of the consequences of your rant, because people are going to say, wait a minute, that's not your comedy, that's your position. You're not making fun of something, you're taking a position here, and you need to hear from us. And now we're going to go back and we're going to talk to you about it. And people say, oh, stop. The thing he said about Rachel Maddow, he was just making a joke. Nobody's saying that. People are looking at this guy going, wait a minute, dude. That's a position. That's an op-ed. That's an opinion page on your own personal newspaper. And you need to own up for these things you've said and back them up. Are you going to back him up with the facts? Are you really going to defend that position? Is that where you want to go? Is that the guy that you're going to have club owners saying, well, let's see if we can get Bill in here tonight? Is that the guy? You know, I don't know. I don't know if the audience is going to eat that dog food. And there's a hell of a difference between, I was funny, I was a comedian. What happened to when he went on a rant like that, in Philly? Michael Richards. Michael Richards. He lost it on stage and went on a rant. What did Jerry Seinfeld say? Sitting with Letterman 2 days later, they looked at the clip, they bleeped it, and Seinfeld turns to Letterman and said, you can't do that. That's not the act. You can't do that. And I think I'm quoting him exactly when he turned to Letterman and says,
such a great way he handled it. Yeah, that's a good point. I remember that. Adam, your thoughts?
Well, sorry to make you apologize, but I think we're on the same.
I'm not apologizing for anything. I think Bill Burr is still. Listen, him being hilarious. There's bits, Adam, as a comedian. There's bits that will live forever. Bill Burr's specials were brilliant. Something shifted. He changes. And like, for instance, to say free Luigi. Do you know how stupid and ignorant that is? The guy was shot. I don't give a fuck how you feel. He was shot and killed. The guy has a family. He has kids. They're going to have to be up fatherless. And for the rest of their lives, their father was... and that footage is out there of him getting murdered. And you're out there trying to be funny saying free Luigi. You're not just a comedian. So when you talk shit in this game, people are going to talk shit back. It's stupid. I'm not apologizing for anything that I've said or changing my stance. He's hilarious. Okay. He's hilarious.
So, and I'll be real quick. There's a difference between good, great, and the GOATs. So, in my opinion, he's a good comedian. He's had some good bits. He's not great, and he certainly ain't a GOAT, and he's certainly not in the top 10 of all time. Real quick, I'm just jotting down names that come to mind. Dave Chappelle, George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Seinfeld, Cat Williams, Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Rodney Dangerfield, Louis C.K., Patrice O'Neal, Andrew Schultz these days,
Louis C.K.
Shane Gillis, Tom Segura. These guys, and I'm just riffing.
You think Bill Burr's not better than Tom Segura? Than Tom Segura?
Yes.
I don't know. Louis
But
C.K.
the fact
and
that
Bill
that's
Burr
even
in the
a
same breath.
conversation
Yeah.
is my point.
Yeah.
Is that nobody would say Tom Segura is a top 10 comedian, maybe active, but of all time, Bill
But here's
Burr
my
ain't in
question.
that list,
But
bro.
what does that have to do with him saying, like an idiot, that Elon Musk took that opportunity at the inauguration to throw 2 Hitler salutes like he was dog whistling towards Nazis and white supremacists? That has nothing to do with his comedy. That's just pure brainwashed ignorance. Bill Burr is smarter than that, or at least I thought he was. But by his own admission, he doesn't read, okay? And then when people check you, for you to go, Adam, I've never done this. Well, I'm just a comedian. No. I use this mic, and when I speak from the freaking heart. And guess what? Check me. Tear me apart, talk shit, and we can have that argument. But to be saying the shit that he's saying, Adam, something shifted. Somebody was in his ear, and now what? This place is a shitty place, and we should feel sorry for living in America. And by the way, you're talking about an African guy. This guy's not from this country and whatever, and that nails our point. This guy is revolutionizing the game, bro. NASA who? It's Elon Musk right now, bro, with Doge and everything like that. Comedy aside, what Bill Burr is doing, bro, is not in his like wheelhouse. He looks ill-informed. He looks stupid, and I just wish, and I hate to be the guy that says stick to comedy. Bro, you were hilarious. The specials were amazing. He's just getting more angrier and bitter, and I think somebody is in his ear, and I think we all know.
But they give him a pass because he's liberal, because the actors and actresses that step out and give opinions that are conservative get barbecued.
Thank you. 100%.
All right, let's go to the next story here. Next story here is Tesla owners offloading their cars over Elon Musk's backlash are in for a nasty surprise. Rob, if you want to go to that one, I don't know if you got a clip on this or not. If you don't, I'm just going to read the story. Hang on one second. Page 13. Here we go. So Tesla resale value has tanked, dropping from $70,000 in 2022 to $30,000 in February per Car Guru's data, a dealership website, with the average used Tesla now $10,000 cheaper than any other electric vehicle, as owners like Scott Oren, a Boston real estate developer, rushed to sell amid backlash against CEO Elon Musk. Oren told Business Insider, I think unfortunately through Elon Musk's actions, he's probably irrevocably damaged the Tesla brand. And after feeling embarrassed to drive his Model 3, while singer Sheryl Crow said she's selling hers to fund NPR and protests, and angel investor Joanne Wilson considered letting people smash her Model S with hammers, the flood of used Teslas worsens by Hertz listing over 30,000 from its fleet last year, has swamped the market, with Kevin Roberts, Car Guru's Director of Economic and Market Intelligence, noting Tesla has been dominant EV brand on the new vehicle market for years, which means there's going to be a lot more of them on the used market. Tom.
Well, guess what? If you're angry at Tesla, I'm so angry, I'm going to hold my breath till I die. Like little kids?
Yeah.
Guess what the Tesla said? I'm so angry, I'm going to sell my car at a loss to me. And all the people that have enthusiasm for Elon Musk and says, hey, these dumb schmucks are selling their Teslas for 10 grand less. You know what? I'm in the market for a car. Maybe I'll buy his Model 3 for 10 grand less. Yeah. Hey, you should do that. What a deal.
Good
By the way, you can go to the Tesla site. You can extend the warranty and get all that. You know what? I think I'll do that. So all these people that says, I'm so mad, I'm going to sell my car. Well, guess what? You're just helping people in America get a lower price EV. Congratulations. How does the self-inflicted pain feel?
Rob, do you have clips of what people are doing to some of the cars?
I can find some.
Yeah, Adam, go ahead.
Well, I don't think Elon Musk cares. And that's not even my opinion. He's literally said it. Do you remember the interview that he did with CNBC? When he quoted the Princess Bride, he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to say what I want to say. And I don't care if the stock price goes down. I don't care if people start to hate me. This is a guy who's putting his purpose, his vision, and his mission, and the country, and free speech, and what Trump is doing with DOGE above all the other nonsense. And I respect him for that. Are there things he's done that maybe he would want to take back? Maybe some mess ups, but overall, you're talking about a guy who's literally trying to repopulate the planet, if you know what I'm saying. And he's on his mission, and he's, we'll see him in Mars.
You know what this is when I see these clips, Rob? If you got a couple of them just playing for the audience to see, watch this here. This is what?
Losing money.
This is a guy who bought a Tesla in Seattle just to destroy it in protest of Elon Musk.
He bought it just to destroy it. Okay,
And
is
what-
there any other ones?
Yeah, there's
there's a bunch of them, guys, of them looting the cars.
Oh,
and,
and I like the hood.
You know,
They
what's this?
misspelled.
This is, I believe this is Sheryl Crow. Yep, Sheryl Crow.
Can you
this
put
is
audio
where,
in it?
Yep, and this is where she donated her car to NPR in protest of Elon.
To NPR. Okay.
I haven't had a
Got it.
hit
So
in
let
a
me give you guys. Do you remember Salman Rushdie?
Yeah, of course.
Do you remember what caused his book to skyrocket into selling
He
millions of
criticized
copies?
Iran, and they put
And
a
then what
fatwa
happened?
on him.
They put a fatwa on
Yeah.
him, right? Can you play a?
And I think
the
they attacked
clip?
him at one point.
I know he
Look,
got
did he
stabbed
lose
in
an
the
eye?
eye. Of course he did. Yeah.
Get outta
So he
here.
wrote a book called Satanic Verses.
Yep.
And they put a fatwa on him. I think it was Khomeini, if I'm not mistaken. Rob, if you can go on the clips, there's
And a
clips of them burning the books.
Of course.
Okay.
And
If you
a
go-
fatwa, for those that don't know, is when basically you put out a hit on somebody.
You put out hit on him, like
in
take him
Islam.
out. Right.
Yeah.
Put him out. Right. So if there's burning of the books, Satanic Verses, I don't know if you see it or not. Anyways, you know what it did? It got him because it was an average book.
Yep.
There was nothing crazy about it. Next thing you know, look at that. Is that the one? Can you?
Yep, it's actually a photo.
They're burning his book. Everybody's like, wait, you're burning this book? Let me go buy the book. Then all of a sudden, matter of fact, if you even pull up the data of what happened, how many copies did Salman Rushdie sell of his book? And let me see if this time, after
yeah.
the fatwa, right? After the fatwa. So a part of this, estimated that millions of copies were sold globally in the year after that burning took place. The book had already sold, I'm not going to UK, but before the fatwa, after the controversy, all of a sudden, the Satanic Verses has now sold 3 million copies worldwide, okay? So what's the point? I don't know if people realize you're just doing free marketing for them. That's what you're doing.
Yep.
You're doing free marketing for Elon, another example of getting free billions of views of people who actually like what he's done to say, I'm going to go support this guy. I've never bought a Tesla in my life. I've never owned a Tesla. But the more I see stuff like this, it makes me want to buy 5 Teslas and just park it in the garage and say, we got some Teslas. Not because I'm a fan of the car, because I don't like what the opposition is doing.
Yeah.
Adam, final thoughts. We'll
You know
move
who
on.
just bought a Tesla?
There's-
Trump.
And
Trump
Hannah-
came out and said, this guy, what he's doing, he's taking it on the chin for me. I went out and bought a Tesla. Talk about marketing right there. You've heard
and wouldn't accept the discount.
has anyone done more for the left agenda than literally Elon Musk? Green energy, #1 car in the world, saving the planet, trying to go to Mars, going to space. These are typically leftist type ideas. Remember the article, the interview that Elon Musk did where he goes, once I came out and told people I was voting for Trump, it was almost like they had rabies. They were just like rabidly going crazy. They don't know how to handle this. TDS is real, and he's living it right now, and I think he'll do better for it.
And Pat, you mentioned all the other stuff, if you don't mind, Pat, all the other stuff that's going on, the terrorism, domestic terrorism type stuff. So in Seattle, some lunatics torched 4 Cybertrucks. In Oregon, a Tesla dealership got shot up, like literally drive-by shootings, windows shattered, cars damaged. This isn't just random acts of violence. It's targeted, and let's not pretend, just like with Bill Burr's stupidity and his dumbass remarks, this is politically motivated. And you know what? The definition of terrorism, we talked about it yesterday, is when people use violence to push agenda, instill fear, or attack a specific group, especially for their political or religious ideology. That's what this is. That's exactly that. He isn't just a CEO, he's a disruptor. He's challenging the norm. And again, this is what we talk about with the George Soros. None of this stuff happens. All this funding and shit, it's by people that are behind the scenes, and we know who the hell they are. And even Trump called it domestic terrorism. Rob, do you have that clip of him saying it's terrorism?
Really?
And he's
He
gonna
labeled it that?
He labeled it domestic terrorism. Because Tom, think about it.
If you do something and it gets labeled domestic terrorism, and you are specifically labeled a domestic terrorist, you know what? You go to the super deluxe consequence round because the FBI will deal with you, and it's a federal crime. It's no longer state or local.
Oh, and Pat, do you mind? This is the clip of Trump.
Play the clip.
Sick ass. God bless
you.
Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. You know, I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all of them. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them. And we have you got a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities. The same garbage.
Bingo.
And we're going to catch them.
And that's Rob. You can just stop right there. And it's like think about it. You don't like Elon because he's helping us. He's helping freaking with Doge and everything. And you start firebombing and shooting up dealerships. It is terrorism. You're trying to instill fear. You're trying to, that's exactly what the hell terrorists do. So good for him. Label them terrorists and see if these idiots.
Vinny, why don't you buy a Tesla?
No, I mean, I'm on the market.
I know you're thinking about getting a new car.
I'm going to be getting a Bronco.
Rob loves Teslas.
No, Rob.
Best vehicle ever.
Rob
saved his life. Tell him a story.
I was going 90 on Alligator Alley, spun around and hit a guardrail 3 times. If I was in any other vehicle, I think I'd be dead. Walked away unscratched. Airbag didn't even deploy. Entire front end of the vehicle and the back end were smashed. But the way that they designed the frame of the vehicle, it's built so that it can sustain that kind of impact. It's the greatest car I've ever had. I'll always buy Teslas.
Saved his life.
Look at
Saved his life. And Vinny goes, you get what you deserve. You were speeding.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't say that, Rob. I didn't say that's what he deserved.
You may have.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, listen, I mean, yeah, Vinny's going to be buying a new car if you work at a Ford Bronco dealership.
Here we go.
And you want to put together a sick custom car wheels for Vinny, connect us.
Ooh.
How about you connect me if you want to do
Please.
something? We will work together.
Yes.
Maybe we'll have you come and deliver it to the new head.
Dude.
Do video. Okay, this guy
Sick.
wants a Bronco.
Ford
but I
Bronco,
want it to
souped
be
up.
Sick.
Woo.
Pass this on to people that you know that are working at Ford
And if you're an
dealerships that
Uber
wanna-
driver and
no,
you're
no,
looking-
nothing. Nothing for
Tesla,
that
Uber.
guy. Nothing for that guy. Send him a Paycon. Persian community, if you know what a Paycon is.
Or
you can
a
connect
Garshuk. I'll take a
Garshuk.
Garshuk as well, whatever.
Well, the other day, you and Vinny were sharing a Garshuk, but that's a different story. All right, let's go to this next story. Okay, so there's a story about Biden's auto pen. Rob, Vinny, can you tell us the story about what this, Heritage Foundation is investigating this auto pen? What is the story all about?
Okay, so by the way, this pisses me off beyond belief that reports just confirmed that Joe Biden wasn't signing his own official documents. His staff was using something called an auto pen. It's a machine that replicates signatures. The only document from this research, and I forgot the name. Rob, do you remember the name? What was the name of this? Can you go back, Robbie? Who's the actual link that I sent? Is it
Garshuk?
I'll find out the name of the actual name. But anyway, the only document that they found out that was personally signed was his letter withdrawing from the 2024 race. So let that sink in. That means people of his staff were making presidential decisions and rubber stamping without his accountability. So there was, by the way, he was on vacation.
If this is true, do you know?
If this is true, I'm gonna let me look up something really quick, Pat. Give me 1 second. Home
so
team.
if all the heritage, you're going to show us some diagrams here, and if the heritage research proves to be correct, is what you're talking about.
Yes,
That's
yes,
crazy.
yes.
That is crazy.
Yeah, this is unusuals. This is the 12th, right? Okay, so yeah, this is it. So, okay, perfect. So the Oversight Project, it's part of the Heritage Foundation. They're exposing what happened, okay? So they're saying that, the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution requires a president to be present for all legal signatures, but if this is true, they did research. Every single one of Joe Biden's pardons came with the auto pen. Biden family member pardon, Anthony Fauci, General Milley, January 6th. And it gets worse. On December 30th, Rob, that's the one I think I sent you yesterday. On December 30th, 2022, while Joe Biden was golfing in the U.S. Virgin Islands, someone not him because he wasn't there, pardoned 6 criminals using the same auto pen. All of them claimed that they were signed in the city of Washington. That's the one I sent you yesterday, Rob. While Biden was nowhere near Washington when that happened, the only document that was signed, like I said, was him withdrawing from the 2024 race, meaning Pelosi or whoever actually said, listen, take this piece of paper and put your actual signature on it. So that's the problem. And if that's the truth, I hope, and this is it, Rob, go to this one. All these people, all these pens, signatures were done by the same signature. And Rob, can you play for Pat, the one that you had earlier, where look at this. They grab all the pens for all the pardons.
Who's they?
Not the Heritage Foundation, the Oversight Project, which is
Click
part
on
of the
this.
Heritage Foundation.
What is this?
So ready for this? Every single signature you see is for the pardons of all the pardons that he did. And now, Rob, can you play it to where they all come together? Pat, how do you sign, especially an 80-some-year-old, and all the signatures line up like that? All the signatures sign up. So what they're claiming is, which I totally believe it, he wasn't there on the 30th. He was on vacation. All these signatures match. Have any of your signatures ever looked that on point and perfect? It's impossible. It's impossible. So if that's true, but that's why I want this word to get out. I want it to hit Donald Trump. If this is true, please undo every single one of these pardons. Go after Fauci. Go after his freaking family. Go after the Adam Schiff and all the January 6 people and General Milley. That would be one of the
What do you mean Fauci's family? Go after his family?
No,
Whose
go after
family?
Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci, right.
I'm sorry, or Tony Fauci. So I think that's what it is. Because if it's legit, it nullifies every single one of these, and I hope that it's
Tom,
true.
your thoughts on this?
Well,
Rob, can you go to ChatGPT?
This research
Let's
is
just see
pretty
what
crazy.
ChatGPT says. Go
I've
to
already done
ChatGPT and let's see what ChatGPT says. What did it say?
You're not going to like what it says, Vinny.
Why?
And I love you and I respect you, but you know who's also used this auto pen? Trump, Obama.
Where?
Bush.
For pardoning people? When they're not there? When it says you have to be there?
I don't know. It says, no, the President of the United States does not necessarily need to sign documents with a quote-unquote wet signature. We're in the insurance business. You know things that need to be signed, wet signature, DocuSign, whatever it is. It says
DocuSign's
laws and
digital.
bills usually require a wet signature. Executive orders typically signed with a wet signature, but electronic signatures are sometimes used. Routine documents and correspondence can be signed with auto pen.
Routine?
Treaties and international agreements
Pardons?
often signed. What is auto pen? Is a machine that replicates the president's signature. Several presidents, including Obama, Trump, and Biden, have used it. Bottom line is, wet signatures are still used for high-profile documents. Digital signatures and the auto pen are legally valid and frequently used for efficiency.
Are they?
So here's my point.
Go ahead.
Totally understand why you're passionate about this. Totally understand why you would assume
Wait
a guy like this is asleep at the wheel.
Here's what I'm looking at.
But I'm just looking.
But you're saying those are for low key whatever.
Hang on. Here's what I'm looking at. I'm reading what it says on AutoPen. Okay. And how it's an AutoPen used in President direct authorization and acknowledge the legitimacy of the pardon can be to question. In such case, courts might scrutinize the validity of a pardon. Especially, okay. So Trump did the AutoPen one time in 2018 to sign a proclamation declaring National Fire Prevention Week while he was in California.
Nothing too crazy.
Well, hopefully they implemented it.
Well, but the point is one time. Okay. It also explains when it's for high decisions, not regular decisions, when it's for stuff that is involving extremely high decisions like a pardon, that's got to be a real wet signature.
Thank you.
That's not
thank you for trying, but I was right.
You know what? Then
So
I'm
I
just
was
gonna,
right.
you want me to
FDR
disagree with whatever nonsense you say?
FDR, no, not at all.
I'm just
So
doing
FDR used it, to give you credit, FDR used it as an auto pen due to his physical limitations from polio. So that was FDR's.
Biden has
Nixon
some physical
used
limitations.
auto pen signatures during his presidency, especially for administrative documents.
Thank you.
It became a subject of controversy during his Watergate scandal as some questioned the legitimacy of some certain documents. Okay, so there you go. Gerald Ford used an auto pen during his presidency to handle the large volume of paperwork that came from the job. Jimmy Carter reportedly used an auto pen on occasion to sign documents, although it was not a widely used, discussed issue during his presidency. Reagan uses, especially during his second term, to cope with the demands of the office and volume of paperwork. George H.W. Bush used it for signing a variety of official documents. Clinton used the auto pen for routine administrative documents and correspondence. Bush used it for signing documents, especially when traveling or handling large number of administrators. Barack Obama used an auto pen to sign documents at times, especially when dealing with high volume. And in Trump, although there were some controversies about the extent of its use, Trump's administration reportedly used to sign documents when the president was unavailable or traveling. But the main one they're talking about is the one in 2018. So the question then becomes, if it's used without approval, specifically for something like a pardon, if there's exchange of communication of there being approval saying, yes, go ahead and sign it, email exchange that is documenting that, guess what? Fine. But if these guys investigated and they find that others were using that auto pen to pardon people like Fauci, Milley, some of these guys, like pure immunity, and that's not a good look.
You're saying that they were basically forging his signature.
Well,
that's what you're saying.
That's a powerful weapon, right?
That's what I'm saying. I agree with that.
That weapon can give you access
Hell
to
yeah.
$1 billion. That weapon can give you access. That weapon can do weapons to other. That's a weapon right there. That maybe one of the top 5 most powerful weapons is the signature of the president.
And let's not forget who was, in my opinion, the main dude doing it was Tony Blinken and Pelosi and maybe Chuck Schumer. But
allegedly.
Here's the point. I said my opinion, Adam. I can have my opinion. I'll say it proudly. My thing is this, and I get where you're coming from. Yeah, other people have used it, but the severity of what we're talking about, he pardoned. He didn't sign it. An auto pen was used to pardon everybody in his family that was doing nefarious shit, from the Hunter Biden laptop to all this illegal shit to people that I believe got away with murder. Tony Fauci, you mean to tell me you have to sign that shit with your freaking hand? It ain't gonna be a rubber stamp from somebody that wasn't even you, you weren't there. General Milley on top of him, which I think all the shit that he did was treasonous. And then the January 6th committee, these people that basically set up President Trump and all the shit that happened that day. I believe that auto pen, there's no way that could be just a rubber stamp. What he was talking about, but all the other presidents was overflow of, what was it? The demand. It's like, oh, okay, this person needs this. Okay, whatever. Not when it comes, this is serious shit. If Fauci is guilty of what we all believe that he actually did, no, man, your ass got to get in there and sign it.
So I asked the question, is it official for a president to use an auto pen? Yes, it is officially accepted for presidents to use an auto pen to sign documents. Auto pen signatures are legally valid and are often used for high volume of paperwork.
Okay.
Great. While the signatures of the document may be created by an auto pen machine, it is typically authorized by the president or designated official in the White House. The use of an auto pen for routine administrative documents such as proclamations, bills, and other paperwork is considered part of the official process, as long as it is done with proper authority and oversight. The legality of auto pen signatures has been upheld in past presidency with the understanding that presidents has authorized the signature. However, the use of an auto pen can sometimes raise concerns about transparency or the personal involvement of the president in signing important documents.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Is the auto pen allowed for pardons? No. It is not constitutionally allowed for presidential pardons. Why? Because the U.S. Constitution requires the president to be present. He was in a different state on vacation. Article 2, Section 2 grants the president the power to issue pardons, does not explicitly state the method. However, legal scholars' past interpretations argue the pardons require the personal discretion and direct approval of the president, meaning auto pen is not fulfilled in this requirement.
Is this the one with Barry Weiss that he was never president?
Well, this is where Mike Johnson says he talked to President Joe Biden about signing a bill, and Joe Biden had no idea that he had signed it.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
This is the European energy tariff.
It's the energy thing.
Can we see this one, Pat? Do we see this one?
LNG exports.
You guys got volume?
Liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me, stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order, 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said, no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed. And I walked out of that meeting with fear and loathing because I thought, we're in serious trouble. Who is running the country? Like, I don't know who put the paper in front of him, but he didn't know.
If it's illegal, I checked it as well. If it's illegal to sign a presidential pardon, that has to be investigated. That has to be investigated.
Oh, please.
Has to be investigated. Whether they do or not, who knows? But it has to be investigated. Anyways, okay. So we covered the tongue gang. It's been a great podcast, Rob. Next Tuesday, we're back at it again. You will see the old set, the main set of PBD podcast next Tuesday. Just got a text here from our guys. I want to say there's a few left of the Yetis. If you haven't yet placed the order, we got a ton of orders that came through here. The white, the red, and the black. I think the white is about to sell out and the red is about to sell out, and we got some more of the black left. Place the order for Yeti Future Looks Bright. Go to vtmerch.com and order your Yeti before these sell out. And any questions you got for us with the Broncos, send me a minute, guys. God bless. Bye-bye.